Hey, welcome to the show. Council on Future Conflict. My name is Scott, the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today, you get just me. I think they're getting back at me for Monday. It's like we'll teach him, but I don't know that to be true. They could both be sleeping in today. So you get me today, just me. And we're going to talk New York and we're going to talk Ukraine. Because I think they're both kind of still important in the big picture. We just haven't talked about them for a second thing. So sorry I wasn't here on Monday. I was having internet problems. But ultimately the internet isn't what kept me from being on the show. I definitely got the gurgle guts about 10 minits before I was hanging out. The guys weren't on time. We usually meet up between so you got to remember, this is okay. I got to translate. Okay. 8:30 to 9:40 to 8:45 is generally when we meet up in the room. And they hadn't gotten there by then, and my internet was just kicking my butt at that point, so I wasn't able to do anything. And then right before I go to transition to my phone, I start getting this the gurgle guts, and so I went straight to take care of that, and that ended up lasting longer than I expected. And my internet never came back, and I was just, by the time I was done, yeah, awesome, yeah, amen, brother. I don't know. I think this would have been maybe a Chosun revenge, but anyway. So yeah, that wasn't fun, and I was just I was not feeling awesome after I got all that taken care of. So I knew the guys had it nailed down. I saw what they were talking about, and I was like, yeah, they're on it. They don't need me. They can handle it. So I'm very, very fortunate to have team members like that can just pick up for me, whether it's a planned absence like for the last 2 weeks, or whether it's just last minute type of thing. So yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's talk about some stuff today. Let's check out yeah, hot snakes, right? Okay, gotcha. I mean, I'm here to entertain you guys. I told you, Scott. This is what happens when you. I still haven't looked that up yet. I don't know what that is. I made a joke about looking that up the other day, but no, I just. All right. Let's well, shit, guys, let's just jump right into the odds and ends. I've got 4 odds and ends today. We were gonna get rid of one, but since I reckon we'll go through this stuff quickly because I'm not bouncing everything off of the boys. So we'll do it that way. Let me switch this out. So the other day they talked about some of the Nigerian Christian stuff. So we will kind of kind of talk about that a little bit. So here's the thing that I don't understand. We all see it. I mean, it's like we all know about what's going on over there, not because for the Imodium tax. I appreciate you, brother. $5. Appreciate you. Oh, and Pinochet, yeah, I saw yours, by the way. Throws. Yeah, I know. I mean, does it really matter? Anyway, so here's the thing. I of all the things I expected when Trump started calling this out, because you guys know how it is. Everybody kind of sweeps everything under the rug until it officially gets noticed, right? And one of the things I like about Trump's administration is he is actually digging into some of these things. Now, I don't like the idea of him saying, "Oh, well, you're going to send troops into there." I mean, that's not because that's just not the way I think we should operate. I think, you know, I think, like, for instance, dropping bombs on bad guys is about the as involved as we should get in a lot of these places that are non-core interests for the United States. But ultimately, this is what you get. When you have a hammer, everything is a nail, and so I think President Trump is right to be concerned and right to kind of go into this, but at the same time, like, boots on the ground and using the troops is not always the right answer. That being said, probably something needs to be done because of well, let's be honest, it hasn't been working. Um, so Nigerian officials deny Christian slaughter. This is not what I was expecting the Nigerian officials to do. It's not happening. It's just not happening. Well, it is happening, guys. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where they're getting their news, but I mean, unless they're trying to say that all these videos are fake, they're not, by the way. Or if they're saying, well, these are real videos, but they're happening in a different place. Um, I I don't understand. I I don't understand what's in it for them not to kind of lean into this. I mean, they could say, "Oh, well, we haven't, it's not a problem, so we haven't failed." Maybe, I don't know. Uh, that could be it, but I don't think so. Uh, but yeah, this is just one of those kind of things where it's disconcerting because you actually, yeah, still think the Vatican should declare a new crusade. I mean, I mean, I if you look at Islam, they are doing, despite our friendly Islamic allies in the Gulf states, the rest of Islam is doing everything they can to kind of disprove the people in the Gulf that are like, listen, we're just like everybody else. We just want to live our lives and we just want to make money and do business and all that kind of stuff. And we still don't want to let you build churches in our countries. Well, shocking. But we want you to let us build mosques in your countries. And we want you to take in all these immigrants. Okay, well, it seems to me that there's something off here. So let's look at this story here. Let's see. Let me get it open. So when South African president, so says Nigerian officials deny Christian slaughter, call for a sit down with Trump. But when South Africa's president Cyril Ramaphosa, our favorite, I mean, he's our favorite in Africa, isn't he? Traveled to the White House this year with a big grin and a large entourage, he did not seem to understand the nature of the visit. He seemed to believe that he was there to wine and dine President Trump, as he had done with Joe Biden on multiple occasions. And American money would flow from the encounter as it always had. South Africa become so accustomed to easy U.S. cash that they felt entitled to it. Yeah. So they're going to draw the the parallels here. What Ramaphosa did not understand, however, was that he was in Washington, D.C. to be interviewed and tested. He failed miserably. His denials of mass murders and government oppression, specifically targeted white farmers, were exposed in real time. So this is exactly what Trump's doing with Nigeria. The man was crushed like a bug in front of the very liberal Western media that had been protecting his government from scrutiny. That's the thing about the bully pulpit, right? It gives you the opportunity to actually put things in front of the American people, and it's hard for them to deny when Donald Trump comes out and says something during a White House Oval Office interview. They try to spin it however they can. You saw that with Zelensky, right? But like with Cyril Ramaphosa, he came off looking terrible in that meeting, and I think Nigeria's leadership is coming off the same way. And just to remind you, right? So you've got let's see, the two major parties in Nigeria are the All Progressive Congress and the People's Democratic Party. It sounds great, right? But then again, so does the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea. You've got the southern part of Nigeria, which is Christian, and you've got the northern part, which is Muslim. And that's where you're really where the northern parts where there are Christians is where you're starting to see this violence occur. Let me go back to the story here. All right. A similar tone is being taken with leaders of Nigeria, with Trump threatening potential U.S. intervention in the region due to ongoing attacks on Christians by Muslim militants. The Nigerian government is resorting to the same denials. A Nigerian presidential advisor has made a statement to the press asserting that the country refutes reports of Christian persecution, but it's willing to have a sit down with Washington to find common front in fighting insurgency. Oh shit! Was there a time switch? When was when was daylight savings time? Is that what happened? Oh shit! So I'm early. I'm an hour early on Sunday. Thank you. Yeah, we see. You got to remember, I'm in Korea. We don't have this, and I'll be honest with you. In the news, has not been anything about this. Anyway, so yeah, you get me early, and the guys will show up, and they'll be like, "What the fuck is going on?" Let me look and see if they're in the other. Like, they could literally be sitting in the other room. Let's see. We have a just to kind of pull the curtains back for you guys a little bit. We have a kind of a rally room where we all kind of congregate, and then we make a new room for every show. And so I'm checking that out. Nope, they're not in there. So they're probably, you got to remember. So it's the see, yeah, stupid round dies and their time bullshit. One time, hey man, the one time the officers. I'll be honest with you, I'm almost always the first person here for the show, and I won't even say who is the one that normally has to be called to wake up. I mean, it's not me because it's the end of the evening for me. So, all right. An hour early is better than an hour late. Thank you, brother. See, this is what I'm here for. All right. Well, hey, since we're early, make sure you guys get out there and you share the link around. Let people know that, hey, we're early. You're getting the pre-show. Essentially, what will end up happening is I'll go through the odds and ends with you guys, and then Joe and Watcher will trickle in. And then you'll get the regular show catching up from the beginning. J. Clark, you haven't missed anything. J. Clark, just let's see. I'll tell him in the chat. Just come to live. Everything else is me babbling. There you go. I would never dime out. I would never throw Watcher, Joe, or any other of my friends under the bus. So bite your tongue. All right. Anyway, let's go back to Nigeria. Because, okay, so first of all, they talked about this, but don't tell Watcher and Joe. I haven't had a chance to listen to the show, so I don't know what they talked about. So I'm probably covering a lot of bullshit with you guys that you already know because you talked about it. Because I'm all about like going into the context of this stuff. Anyway, going back, sources cited by the advisor do not have any regular observers on the ground in Nigeria, except Amnesty International. The left-leaning organization is notorious for glossing over religious violence aimed at Christians. Yes, because Christians are the only minority group in the world that you can do this to. Phil Coghlan's member for 36 months. Thank you, brother. We should keep the government shut down until they decide to end DTS. I mean, we were just talking about. It's so funny that this happened because I was talking to some people at work today. I was like, "When is daylight saving time?" We're all like, I don't know," and I couldn't be bothered to just jump on the internet and go search it because I was like, I'm sure somebody will mention it when it's time. And in fact, you guys have mentioned it. The problem is it was after time. Well, I guess it's before time. Let's see. It's a similar tactic used by South Africa to dismiss targeted violence and oppression to the white minority. It's shocking that you see this in multiple African countries. Hey, no problem here. Not it. We didn't do it. Right. And basically in South Africa, these farm murders have been mislabeled as politically motivated killings. These are politically motivated killings that have been labeled as like robberies, gone wrong. But the problem is that the citizens are on the ground and are able to video and get statements, and there's no way that these governments are going to be able to continue to gaslight us. Let's see. Islamic militants of various terror groups do kill each other at all times, often because of internal politics. Christians are targeted specifically for their beliefs, while Nigerian government attempts to partially blame them as if they were involved in sectarian warfare. This is right. The Christians are not involved in sectarian warfare. And because in the areas where they're being killed, they are without a doubt the minorities in these areas, because it's more north, right? In the south, where the Christians are stronger, they don't have these problems. Open Doors, an international Christian persecution watchdog, ranks Nigeria as the deadliest country for Christians in its annual World Watch List. It reports a more conservative 3,000 to 4,000 Christians killed in their faith for their faith in recent tracking periods, accounting for 70 to 82% of all global faith-related killings. So if they're saying it's 3,000 to 4,000, then it's at least 10,000 to 20,000 probably. International Christian Concern is a U.S.-based persecution monitor that tracks specific incidents via on-ground partners, documents attacks like the June 2025 Middle Belt killings, which is 85 Christians killed in 1 week. And these are due to Boko Haram. So basically, the enemy on the ground is Boko Haram and ISIS. Now, you can easily just kind of use those as synonyms, but ultimately, theoretically, they are different groups. And there are no organized Christian militant or terrorist groups in Nigeria. I think that is kind of, you've also got these Fulani militias that are up there too, which are Muslim militias, but they're more locals, whereas Boko Haram and ISIS are Sahel related, right? These are things that we've talked about, in all over central Saharan Africa. I just wanted to kind of weigh in on this because I think this is one of those kind of things that could very quickly become front page news in America because of let's call it a need for Americans to get involved due to political backlash within the conservative movement. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I don't know that the answer is us putting boots on the ground, but I think it's correct to do something. It's kind of like, my old saw has always been, if it's energy related, if it's China related, or if it's Western Hemisphere related, we get involved, right? Because those become the discrete national interests of the United States. The problem is that Christians in Nigeria is not directly tied to U.S. national interests, but I would say, yeah, it may be soft, right? Like really kind of small, targeted kind of teams that are training higher end elements of the Nigerian, or maybe even a Christian militia in the north. The problem with Christian militias is they have a tendency sometimes to hang around after lots of oil in Nigeria. Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of oil in Nigeria. So it'll be interesting to see what we end up doing with this. I think maybe targeted airstrikes and soft on the ground would be the extent of it. But if you're going to get involved in countries that have nothing to do with our national interest, ultimately it needs to align somehow with the people of the United States. And I think the Christian piece is where you find that. I mean, Christians are a minority in the world, so I think it's important for us to value Christians in a way that maybe we don't value directly other people in the world. So I think that's where I'm at with this one. It's terrible getting involved. I'm okay with limited involvement, but I don't want to go over the top like like it looks like we're getting ready to do in Venezuela. All right. I'm monitoring stumbling through. But this would not be the first time I've done this. I mean, we've been doing the show for 4 years now, I guess, and this is not the first time we've had what would you call it? Daylight savings time related kerfuffle. I'm going to share this because I think it's funny. Hold on a second. Let me get this in here. I got to appreciate it when you guys take the time to show us some love on, be prepared to put on over on X. Oh my, M. Scott forgot about the time change and is stumbling through future conflict, wondering why he is alone. Oh boy. Thank you. See, I'm glad that somebody appreciates this. I will. Look at that. The Night Desert camo is dope, and you gotta dig the Chosen Man 95th Rifles patch. My vision light. I don't understand what it is with you. I know what it is. You guys were not born you were born in the 90s or later. I think all the people who have a problem with light mode were born in the because you guys, you need to be babied and tendered. You can't handle some of the more rough aspects of life, and I get that. So let me share this out here. I started early. Join me to see how late or early the other guys are. There we go. By the way, if you don't follow me on X, I recommend you doing that. Doing good. Yeah. Well, early morning show because, it's one of those kind of things where when you live in Asia, you don't get the whole daylight savings time memo. Brother, I think you and I are simpatico there. I've considered doing this because it is super cheap to get things made here in South Korea. But I just haven't really pursued it. So be prepared. What kind of material do you have? Is it like 50-50 like Nico or what is it? Learn to calibrate your monitor. Yeah, there you go. Right. I think you're talking to Yarded Boy. And you know what, Yarded Boy, I would think that you living where you live would be used to bright white, shiny things, with the whole abundance of snow up there. Yes, look at it. The first one. You know what happened, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I saw people say it on X.
Daylight savings time. I had no clue.
Yeah.
I probably, what's funny is I probably could have joined you on Monday. No, now that I know this, because I thought you guys were an hour and a half into the show, and comes to find out you were only a half an hour into the show. I ended up going to bed, and
Well, you get good sleep. Better.
Well, here's the thing, brother. We're going to end up having to change the time of the show because I can't, like, normally we would be starting the show, what, in 20 minutes, right?
15, yeah.
Quarter after, right? Quarter after. So Eastern time, 9:15, and it's 8:15 right now. Or no, it's 8:56 right now in the States, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah, so I'm not gonna be able to do the show because it's almost 11 o'clock here. We're gonna have to look at the time.
Yep, I agree.
But we do this every time, so we'll figure it out. Roger, you're on the wrong mic, they said. Yeah, so it's 8:56 Eastern. We go off of Eastern time is generally what we do. That it's easy for and then that God love Watcher. That means it's 6:56 his time.
Yep. And honestly, I was up a little bit earlier, but normally I just stumble in here with no regards to anything. But when I saw the show was live, I was like, let me make sure I've got all the settings right before.
I even kind of came in early on the notes. I basically came in about an hour before we would normally do the shows, as far as in my time, and I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get the notes done because, I felt bad about Monday, and that way you guys don't have to and I know I don't really feel bad, but I do feel bad, So anyway, and so I even did, and then so I did the notes, and I was fucking around doing some other stuff on my computer, and then I start checking the time, and I'm like, nobody's here. It's about 5 till 10 my time. I'm gonna go ahead and make the the thumbnail, and so I made the thumbnail, and then it was like 10 after 10, and I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and make the show because I was like, where are these motherfuckers?
Yeah. Well, that's a good thumbnail
though. Tag team it. You know what? I'm afraid that you guys aren't interested in just listen to me babble though by myself.
Okay, yeah. It's the Snake Plissken cover. Oh, I like that. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, just to reshare for anybody who might have missed it. It's not Escape from New York, as if that's something you did. It's Escape New York.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, Joe.
Joe's like, wait a second. I thought
I'm on time. And I've been waiting in the other room for forever. So.
Oh shit! That's
I checked that a while ago, guys. I was like, wait a second. As soon as they told me about DST, I went over and checked, but neither of you were in there at that point. But that's had to be about 15, 20 minutes or 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was watching at that point, but I was like, I'm not just gonna stumble in there. I'm gonna wait and make sure all my stuff's on.
I saw that somebody shared that it was live, and I'm like, how so? I mean,
well, you know, Joe, I think whether it's coming into daylight savings time or whether it's going off of daylight savings time like we're doing now, at least once a year, whether it's either the beginning or the end, we always have a show where I come in because I'm in a foreign country that doesn't observe daylight savings time for the last 5 years.
I was going to say clueless, but okay.
Well, I mean, it's I would say paying attention to important things. I mean,
there you have it. Yeah, saving your attention only for the important things. Yeah.
Joe, let me ask you a question. If you could get rid of daylight savings time, would you do it?
Oh yeah, that's undisputable.
Yeah. See,
I put on Twitter, curse Ben Franklin for this, but.
Well, yeah, I get the whole agrarian society reason for daylight.
No, it does. It doesn't even make sense in that context.
Anyway, guys,
because farmers get up with the sun, not the clock. So.
Yes, sir. Yep, that's why it doesn't really make sense in an agricultural context either.
You know what it is? Just one more piece of proof that if you give the government control of anything, they make it unnecessarily complicated.
Yes.
Which reminds me, I just put out a tweet that said, New Yorkers, if you think groceries are expensive now, wait until the city runs all the grocery stores.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ,
Oh my
man.
God,
What
you
a
And
guys, that's
what a
so.
bad day for America. You know,
what
the
vendor
last
is going to
24
supply
hours.
those stores with food at the cost the city will demand? No one. They'll
Well,
be like, all right, I
well, I
can't
mean,
just go get my green beans anymore. So,
well, the other thing that they'll then do is they'll subsidize the products in order to sell them. So they'll buy a loaf of bread for $1, but they'll have to sell it at 50 cents in order to be able to make their promise. But the problem is when you fix prices like that, the government can't afford it, and ultimately you end up with rationing. That's how rationing happens.
yep.
All right, gentlemen.
Oh,
So I've already done the first odds and ends, so we can just do the other three as normal. So,
all right. Give me just a second to pull them up, and then we're gonna go.
Joe, how you doing, brother? I saw your post this morning. Your kind of your reflections on the recent training stuff.
Yeah. You know what? I'm doing good. Finally recovered from travel. Like, I got home and just been so busy since then that I like have not caught up on sleep. So last night I finally did, and well, I would have, except somebody started our show an hour early. No, I'm just kidding. I got caught up on sleep, so we're gonna start doing some things around here and make life happen. We added some classes to the schedule, so that's cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Some
You get all
winter
this.
classes. So
Oh, okay. Do you have any of the like late winter, early spring ones up yet?
I'm sorry. Any what?
Any of that winter's still kind of here, but it's starting to be springtime, sort of like February ish.
Oh no, it doesn't start to be springtime here until at least April.
Okay.
But
Fun.
there will be some. We'll get there.
Gentlemen, I'd just like to point out. I was getting ready to. There we go. Let's go back to it. Scott tells you're a strict city boy without telling us. No. What it is called institutionalized.
I was gonna say.
I have a certain set of skills that's been developed over the last 24 years, and one of those is the ability to not be flexible with time.
Yeah, cultivated.
Owen is trying to get me to start activating the band hammer again already.
Yeah, Scott, you will be happy to know that in your absence, we maintained your edict that the show shall be a neutral zone. That's correct. Yeah, we did have to exercise the right to enforce that on a few people while you were gone.
I see somebody mention, I am Bob mentions, wait until the meat is all halal. Let me point something out. The Bible commands us not to eat food that is sacrificed to any other god. Halal is exactly that. So, by the way, Scott, when I bought up all of the radio pouches from Exumbris, I threw in.
Look at that.
This fantastic Desert Night camo pouch.
Look at you.
That was pretty darn cool. So
that's very cool.
This one actually fits one of Demp's personal trauma kits pretty darn well. So that's what I use it for.
Cool. I was thinking about like the setup, the post-work setup, and I'm thinking maybe like just a plain green OD plate carrier, and then that way I can kind of like whatever thematic kind of thing setup I want to do. Like if I want to do multicam, then just do all multicam patches, and then if I want to do night desert camo, I could do all night desert camo. That way, you kind of be a multi kind of purpose. That way I can accessorize.
We'll get some of our providers to put you on gear welfare for a little bit, and
amen, brother. I will be losing most of my gear in the near future. All right. Hey guys, let me ask you a question. On Monday, did you guys talk about the Donald Trump kind of edict on Nigeria with the killing of Christians and
Yes.
everything like that. What was your take on his kind of like, hey, I think we should get involved?
Well, I think
Because
it's
I'm
one of the
conflicted on this one.
I'm not. It's one of the crusades we should be involved in, but I don't think we should be involved to the point of sending 3 divisions and
Right.
multiple bases. I think that you could handle this with a couple of ODAs or a MARSOC team supporting locals, and handle it that way. And but it is to be made.
I like it when you and I like have the exact same take without conferring on it. That's exactly what I said, which is soft plus maybe some air support, training of locals. A lot of the kind of core pieces of the Nigerian military are Christian, so it would be very easy to kind of indoctrinate them in a kind of like, I hate to say it, but almost a crusader mentality. Well, maybe I shouldn't hate to say it, but
no, you should not hate to say it. I know where they could source some patches, but
right.
I think it's absolutely something that should be done. And Boko Haram is the largest terror group in West Africa, so you could certainly do the greater good and improve conditions far outside of Nigeria by putting an end to Boko Haram. Coincidentally, that's what the bases we had in the rest of the Sahel were allegedly for. When you talk about the bases we had in Burkina Faso and Mali, that was their alleged intent in Niger. But those are now gone. We have to build new ones. So
speaking of Haram, not just the Boko kind, OG urban camo kind of guy. No, I am not an OG. Now, urban camo, I can get behind some urban camo, but it's the T block, which is the more kind of modern take on urban camo, which I think has way more drip than the old white and black.
If you're going to wear urban camo, it's ATAX LE is a solid urban camo. Or anything desert actually works pretty well in most urban areas.
Yeah, that's right. You want something that's kind of drab.
The problem is every law enforcement agency in America wants to be a Green Beret or SEALs, so they wear multicam everywhere, which doesn't really work in the city. But anyway, I digress. On the OG urban camo thing, when I was a teenager and we were watching shows like Airwolf and their little special ops team was wearing that urban camo, I thought it was the coolest thing ever until I learned something about camo. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, that's crap. It doesn't work literally anywhere. And see, Militant Roots supports me. ATAX LE is the superior urban camo. Yes, it is.
I mean, I just want to, let's see, I'm just trying to get a good image of this. I guess this one will have to do. Let me share since we're talking about New York and urban camo, I might as well share this. The correct usage of urban camo is snake plissken. I just want to say.
Yes.
And this is, of course, an action figure.
Serbian, wasn't what he wore in that show based on some Serbian pattern or something?
I think so. He was some, like oddly sourced national camo from somewhere, but it looks pretty good for what it is. And here's the thing. The reason why I thought this one looked good where a lot of them don't is a lot of them are just grayscale, but this one has like a green, kind of like the lighter colors here, like the middle tones are kind of light greens. And so I think that's kind of.
Once again, when that movie first came out, we all looked at that Mac 10 with the scope and the
It was so awesome.
So cool. And now we're like, what is this garbage tier object he's holding here?
Bite your tongue, Joe. It's not garbage for Snake Plissken. Now it would be garbage for us in the modern era. We could just say that we've grown. Anyway, Watcher, how you doing? What's going on in your world?
Oh, just watching communists get elected.
Yeah, well, I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
I decline to answer that question on the grounds that it may incriminate me.
Well, here's my thing, guys. I think this is a hot take. I think it's great that this happened. A, I don't live in New York, and B, I think it's in high time people see what like a real socialist would do with America. And
I
it's already New York is already a fucking hellscape. It
I
can only
appreciate
go downhill.
I appreciate the search for a silver lining. I counter with, please name me at any point in recorded human history at which socialists have said, "Ah, yes, our thing failed, and it's our fault."
No. Usually, it's their victims get tired of being victims, and well, you Ceausescu found out about how that works out.
Well, no, but what I mean is, like, it's literally it's literally a meme of the left that real communism has never been tried. They're going to do the exact same thing. It wasn't the socialism of New York that failed. It was the fact that they were at war with the federal government.
Yeah. I felt bad that that the governor in the governor's race in Virginia, that's the one that I was really hoping for. It doesn't surprise me, honestly, that she didn't win, but ultimately, um, I think that there's nothing that scares suburban white women more than a black woman with an AR-15.
I will say that the really funny thing that I did see about it was all the people who apparently can't do math that were trying to blame Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
hey,
even if all of his people went, he still
literally,
would have lost.
literally, if every single person who voted Sliwa voted for Grandma murdering Cuomo, he still would have lost.
The
Well,
problem
here's
is
the
Sliwa has always been a clown, and it was ridiculous to let him run in that spot. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this just goes to show you what happens when people run on ego versus reality. I mean, like I'll be honest with you. What you got 9% or something like 7%, 7%, I think, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think he overperformed in some ways. You know, especially in New York City. Um,
and
I,
imagine the
I
turnaround where we were hoping for Cuomo. What?
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah.
All right, let's get back into the regular scheduled program. Trump's to Democrats, stat reforms returns only after government reopens. Gentlemen, snap. I mean, because you know, what are the chances that we get our actual race riots over a snap here in the next couple of weeks?
I don't know. Now that the elections are over, I think that the Democrats' opposition is beyond
For the
it.
shutdown?
It's not relevant anymore, so they'll probably let it open. So I think that'll make it all go away. But I don't know.
The Trump administration said on Monday it plans to partially fund the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program after judge ruled in November that contingency funds must be used to pay for the benefits. By the way, I don't know how these judges have any say in this. So once again, judges getting involved in things that I don't think they have any fucking business being involved in. One major issue with the SNAP has been the widespread fraud that erupted under the Biden-Harris regime. U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins revealed Sunday that USDA has purged 700,000 fraudulent recipients so far this year. Joe, I mean, at what point did the people who were getting it, actually, no matter what happens with the actual SNAP funds, they ain't getting shit, right? That's 700,000 people that are off the dole. I wonder when they start kind of agitating. Or maybe they already have.
The problem is this: like, if I'm on it and legit versus those who are on it and scamming, those people don't care. They believe it to be some sort of an entitlement. So they won't ever be mad at the people getting it illegally. They'll be mad at the government for not giving it to them. So They won't be mad at the right people. I already checked
Yeah,
mine. I
yeah,
muted
it's
myself
watchers.
and the sound was still there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's watchers. It's watchers. I don't know what Watcher just did, but it sounds like he unplugged his mic for a second. See, Dapper Dan, thank you. T-block all day long.
That's great.
Joe, you're
everywhere you go is brick. But
Joe, you're just jealous of my my parka that I got, the T-block camo parka I got.
If believing that makes you happy, you knock yourself out, champ.
Hey, I just remember how effusive in the praise for it you were. 2 years ago when I was in Turkey and I got it. Though my wife has not let me wear it one time since then.
See, my wife doesn't
not when I'm with her.
What I wear.
I know, but when I'm with her, it's like it's happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. I wouldn't know anything about that. So.
I see, and in Korea though it doesn't play as well. Though fashion camo is a fucking thing here.
Your Arctic Boy asked how our food pantry is holding up in terms of demand and stock. We actually had a meeting about that yesterday. We haven't seen any change right now, but give it a week, right, and we'll see. So to be determined. We did stop some of the food sharing we were doing with other pantries just so we had a little bit more extra stock on hand, and we're doing some more processing this week down here to get things going. The good news for us is that we're in the season where the fish and game department is going to be bringing us an awful lot of meat, and so we'll be able to kind of keep up that way. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, so this is a Truth Social post from Donald Trump. SNAP benefits, which increased by billions and billions of dollars, many-fold, during crooked Joe Biden's disastrous term in office, due to the fact that they were haphazardly handed to anyone for the asking, as opposed to just those in need, which is the purpose of SNAP. Will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up government, which they can do easily and not before. I think that's the critical thing there, Joe. I mean, if you talk to people about like WIC, right? People are almost universally for that, right? Because ultimately WIC is targeted at children. And if children are in a poor situation, you want to make sure that they have food, right? And only certain foods in the grocery store can be bought with WIC. So WIC is really tough to kind of fraud on. Now, you can do fraud on anything. But
you hear about how all the Indian stores are stocked by buying.
Yeah, well, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, there are ways to game the system, but it is way more, kind of tight. The controls are much more tighter with WIC than other things. But most of SNAP is not WIC, right? And I don't know if WIC is even part of SNAP, if I'm honest.
No, they're two entirely different programs. But here's the thing. They keep calling this Trump's shutdown, and Trump is ending SNAP. The president has nothing at all to do with the government shutdown. It is entirely on Congress. And as far as deciding where what money goes, I'll remind the U.S. District Court judges that all appropriations must begin in the House of Representatives. They don't begin in the judicial branch, and they don't begin in the executive branch. Simple.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, by the way, Joe. SNAP is the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, and it's completely separate from WIC, which is, specifically for women, infants, and children. The interesting thing is SNAP, you can almost buy anything except for like hot prepared foods, alcohol, etc. So like almost anything in the grocery store, whereas, WIC is that kind of much more narrow kind of thing. I mean, like I said, I think WIC makes sense. SNAP does not. I just don't know that anybody should be getting SNAP. Yeah. Wait a second. There's that constitutional amendment that says that thou shalt not go without food. Oh, wait a second. That doesn't exist.
The other problem too is that people misapply SNAP. What does the S stand for in SNAP? Supplemental, not main source of income, right?
Yeah.
It is not supposed to be your main source of income. And CWSB, that's correct, but there is also EBT cash. So when you get your SNAP benefits for the month, you get EBT food and EBT cash. Cash can be spent like cash. So it's not exactly 100% accurate. And every store in the ghetto rings up everything in their store as food so that you can use SNAP for whatever. So.
Well, and then the other thing too, Joe, is that they're both delivered. SNAP and WIC are both delivered through EBT in almost every state.
Yes.
So it's kind of like you may actually get both, all right. Let's move on from that one. I think we've done that one to death. I think it's good though that they're honing in on that as a area of waste, fraud, and abuse. But I'll be honest with you. I think the SNAP kind of benefits are the kind of thing that should be super, like maybe like when somebody's in a unemployment stage, like hey, they lose their job. Maybe there's a 90-day window when they're getting unemployment benefits. That maybe they could get like SNAP, but ultimately, that would be about as far as I would be willing to stretch it. Ultimately, it should be a state-run thing, not a federal thing. The federal government has no fucking business being involved in the delivery of these programs.
When you see the number of help wanted signs that exist throughout the United States and compare it to the number of people on SNAP benefits, you realize the system is broken.
100%.
It's better for them to remain unemployed than it is to accept a job at McDonald's, which is now paying almost $20 an hour, which is absolutely ludicrous. It's still more beneficial for them to remain on SNAP. They make more money on SNAP. And we used to, when I worked for Dollar General, the district managers would complain to me all the time that, hey, I got these girls working here, and they get an opportunity for a promotion. They refuse to take the full-time job because it'll mess up their SNAP benefits. And they make way more on SNAP than they would at a $45,000 a year assistant manager job. So it is silly. We have this whole thing flipped around backwards.
Yeah, 100%. All right, moving forward. The next one up is commercial technology, most often the target of the Chinese spies. So, like we talk about like who are the kind of the targets of Chinese espionage efforts and things like that. The interesting thing here, Joe, is that why go after the people who actually have operational security training and, security management and, security classifications and things like that as a part of literally, the entire training that they go through, i.e. the military, i.e. government, like intelligence agencies, things like this. Why not just go after the people who, A, work for all these people and are just, are not nearly as strict about security and things like this. Enter in spying, like basically corporate espionage is the target of Chinese governmental things. In the case of a former aide to two New York governors who stand accused of exerting influence, falsifying documents, and sharing information and carrying out shady business deals while receiving favors and kickbacks from Chinese government and Chinese companies, as expected to go to trial early this month. While in many ways the case of Linda Sun and her husband Chris Hu is not typical of Chinese espionage and influence in the United States, it's extremely brazen in the nature and stands as for a trend.
It's 100% typical. That's the way that it works.
Well, yeah, that's what they're saying. Like that's the way the trend's going, right? It's absolutely kind of going more in that direction. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, which researches cases of Chinese espionage in the United States between the years of 2000 and 2023, found most of these cases involve Chinese citizens, not naturalized U.S. citizens like Sun and Hu. I think that's what they mean by being outside of the. As Statistica's book, only 10% of the cases involve non-Chinese actors. And there's Watcher Goose. Can you scroll up or scroll down a little bit there to show? Show that graphic. Kind of blow that graphic up right there. So commercial technology most often targeted for Chinese spies, types of Chinese espionage amongst publicly recorded cases in the United States. You've got U.S. government agencies is only 17%, military is 29%, and commercial is 54%. So it's not like they don't go after the government. It's just 54% of all of their targets are commercial. And this is where they're going after patents. They're going after, proprietary information, so they can basically transfer the technology directly to their companies to copy, i.e., like what we saw with Lockheed Martin and all the F-35 information that they stole. Probably all of this AI stuff is probably ending up in China, whether it's closed or open models. So there's that. Perpetrators involved: Chinese military, government employees are 49%, private Chinese citizens 41%, and non-Chinese actors are 10%. So these are mostly Chinese people coming into America and are interacting with Americans. Joe, I remember a briefing a long time ago that said that Chinese espionage is very different than Russian espionage. Russian espionage was like the consummate professional spy, like the KGB guy who had really good tradecraft and a lot of training and could speak,
been the best in the world at it. So
right. Whereas China is the exact opposite. It's really low skill people, but 1,000 of them, right? And they're playing the numbers game versus, and so it's the Chinese professor, it's the pretty Chinese girl asking, military officers questions at a trade show or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's exactly right, because I recall Stan and Jim relating a story to me being at SHOT Show, and it began with a couple of Chinese ladies asking them questions, and when they declined the conversation, the ladies tried to set their phones down directly next to Jim and Stan's phones. That was an attempt to steal the data. And somebody just asked about Chinese nexus in Ann Arbor, Michigan. There is an Ann Arbor, Michigan, but it's ran out of East Lansing, Michigan. I was directly involved in a case of the professor who vanished from Michigan State University. No one remembers this. The husband and wife professor team that the FBI was watching, and actually the FBI was protecting, it turns out. They leaned on the local sheriff's department to do surveillance on this couple as a part of an espionage thing. And when they saw the man physically leave his house, but they noticed that his phone was still inside the house, they decided to stop him. And he was on his way to the airport to escape to China. He went to court. The FBI testified on his behalf and got him released. And then he vanished, never to be seen again, into China. And he was pretty much, yes, it was biochem professors. They were running a biochem espionage ring out of East Lansing and Ann Arbor, and they are now gone. I still keep tabs on the son, who works in Metro Detroit, but there's a lot of that going on through the colleges and universities, through business, and through the gifting of innocuous items like cell phones and flash drives and things like that. And those things just snatch up all the data that they can.
Yeah. Watcher, I just sent you a link in the private chat. Can you pull that up?
Yes.
And there have been posts recently, and I want to say like Elon even posted something recently about like if you're talking to a 9 or a 10 in Silicon Valley, they're not into you because especially if they're Chinese. Female spies are waging sex warfare to steal Silicon Valley secrets.
I think the post was
this is like one of the oldest espionage games.
100%.
Yeah. I think the post was, she's a 10, but you're an asset 100.
Yeah, exactly right. But it's clearly, I mean, it's known. This is not like, we're not like breaking news here. I mean, this is pretty normal. But that being said,
what is the Sparrow School and Project Rasputin?
Well, the Russians always were the best at it, though. I mean, because I
I mean, hey,
I-
young Russian women, not old Russian women. So yeah,
I have no. I've never seen any, Joe. Never.
yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Talk about young Romanian junior officers you might have met.
I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but it couldn't happen. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
Rowan. That's what we're gonna say next.
All right. So anyway, I thought this was just kind of interesting, and it's kind of a reminder, even in a time where we're trying to make nice with the Chinese, which, by the way, I don't know how well that's going. Actually, I think it's this. This is exactly what you're going to keep seeing more of, no matter how friendly. No matter how friendly the Chinese are, this will always be like an
Actually, I
ongoing
have
threat.
a direct refutation of this claim from Eric Swalwell.
Oh, that's
He
right.
says,
That's right.
"Nuh-uh,
I.
she loves me."
That's right. I swear to God, man, these posts about these Muslims. I'm sorry. I've got my X feed going on in the other window, and the posts that keep coming across my timeline, and it's literally never the same one twice. There are always new ones of these Muslims in America talking about how we're going to basically take over the U.S. with Sharia law and all this kind of stuff. Oh, by the
This
way,
is why we
Mandami got a.
train.
Did you, Joe? Did you see the endorsement letter? I guess from ISIS of Mandami. Yeah, I don't know if it's fake. It probably is fake, but it's very, very good. All right, let's see. Moving on. Let's see the next one. FBI foils Halloween terror attack. Did you guys talk about this? The Dearborn.
We didn't talk about it because it had just happened. It was still within the 48-hour window.
Yeah.
But there are some important pieces to this. This doesn't surprise me one bit. ISIS is well embedded in Dearborn and Al Qaeda both, but more specifically Hezbollah. But it wouldn't surprise me if this was real. But the thing is, there are only 5 in custody, and there is a large number of dudes still outstanding in this case. So keep your heads on a swivel. They're now at the point where they have to either use the tools they bought or not. I want to warn everyone, though, of some of the things that are on the indictment. Look at him, boy. Could I possibly be carrying any more gear? Anyway, some of the things they wrote in their indictment as indicators of criminal activity is that they bought tactical gear, and they bought force reset triggers, and they bought AR-15 rifles. So they must have been evil people.
Yeah.
None of that's on by the way.
Yeah, that's one of those kind of things where you gotta. I think legally it's not very very solid, honestly, but it's also one of those kind of things that you don't think that they just learned that trick, do you? Because they've been using that trick for the last 4 years, and they probably learned it during the Obama administration. So, this is where all those memos about domestic violence extremists, right? They basically just scratched out conservative and put Muslim, so it's not like they still believe in domestic violence extremists. They're just willing to go after the people that Trump wants to go after here. And it's not that we don't disagree with them going after these guys. These are fucking terrorists that are just who don't believe in the American ideas and are just waiting for the moment to strike. But ultimately, Joe, you said on numerous occasions, and I back this up, you got to be constitutionally consistent with how you kind of use legal tools against people who are bad guys. You don't need to make shit up. If a guy's planning to do terrorist stuff, you're going to find plenty of stuff that's going to that you can lead back to him. So, and we learned this in the early days of going after Islamic terrorists. Let's just play this video, Watcher. You had it up there for a second. Let's listen to what this is a NBC News TikTok or something like that. I'm just curious. I haven't even listened to it yet, but it's only 26 seconds. Yeah.
The FBI stopped a potential terrorist attack in Michigan, according to Director Kash Patel. The FBI has arrested 5 young people who were allegedly planning a violent attack over Halloween weekend. Arrests were made this morning in the cities of Dearborn and Inkster, just outside of Detroit. Officials say the group has a connection to ISIS extremism, and law enforcement officials are telling NBC News the suspects had access to guns.
Joe, they mentioned ISIS extremism there at the end, but what did they not say at all?
I don't know. I don't know where you're going.
Muslim or
We
Middle Eastern
can't say that. You can't say
immigrants.
that in Metro Detroit because that would paint you as a racist. But yeah, they claim this is some sort of an ISIS thing. 2 of their members did go to Syria and join ISIS, so it's probably true. But that part to me is actually irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
This is the goal of pretty much all Islam. The goal of moderate Islam is extreme Islam. So it's kind of the way it is.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. All right. By the way, good use of hour and power this morning, Joe.
I had to come up with something. I was trying to think of a way. I couldn't think of anything that rhymed with early, so
I like the indirect rhyme. You know, it's like not a perfect rhyme, but it's very close. You know,
hour and power is a direct rhyme.
I know, but OWR, OUR, you know.
Rhyming is not about spelling; it's about sound.
I got it, but you know, theoretically, the sound is or, you know, like with hour and or, you know, versus power. You know.
I love how you just like to point out little errors of everyone but you. Thank you.
No, I wasn't an error. I said I enjoyed it. Because that's real artistry when you can do that. You know, not too obvious. Obvious rhymes are easy. Anybody can do those. You have true artistry, my friend. All right. All right. Moving on. Joe, you want to talk a little bit about tactical wisdom? You got the new tactical wisdom post that you just did. We talked about a little bit about it. Anything else you want to talk about?
The class was, or the article that's up is just about the great week that we had training down at NC Scouts Place and the good times we had just before that at the Mountain Readiness, which is coming to Montana, July 24th through 26th. So start planning that right now when you're making your vacation requests. We've got War Lizard Tactical, July 18th and 19th. Then there's a week in between that I'm going to fill with classes by Tony from Wyoming Survival, Kay from Combat Studies Group, probably Matt and me. And then we'll have Mountain Readiness West in the afternoon. It's going to be good. So anyway, the class was all about that. And then I added some courses here to the schedule for the wintertime. Notice I didn't go past February 8th because there's some disputes as to what's going on in late February. The rumor I heard is that I'll be in North Carolina with Matt, and we're going to wrap it with Fieldcraft before Scout and Recce, and then Community Security Ops afterward. But let's wait and confirm that in a little bit. So that'll be good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Joe's got to be in North Carolina for an entire month during February. I wonder why.
Thanks. You're helping. Yeah. You're really helping my situation here.
I don't blame you, brother. That's why I'm looking to move to North Carolina.
Anyway, winter survival classes are on there, mostly because I see a lot of people go out here and go snowmobiling or snow skiing and don't have a plan and then get lost and somebody has to come and find them. So we're going to talk about how to prevent that. And we're going to run a variant of the Fieldcraft class that is winter specific, because camouflage, cover and concealment, and movement become very, very different in the winter or in alpine regions than they do on flat ground or the rest of the year. And we'll do another Combatives Weekend, which is a very popular class where we learn unarmed self-defense, ground fighting, stick fighting, knife fighting, and, of course, bayonet fighting. So we have a
Joe, I think it's really critical. It's so it's one thing to know how to do things in the wood. It's another thing to know how to do things in the woods in the winter. Everything gets significantly harder, and then and especially especially in places like in the Midwest, right, where you got it's freezing at night, but then it's 37 degrees during the day, so the snow melts and it gets wet. And you're miserable, and then you're miserable and cold and wet during the day, and then it freezes at night, and it's like there's a way more kind of a higher risk for hypothermia going in that kind of like in and out of.
What we teach to defeat that is, okay, it's colder at night, and so how can I stay warm? Well, we move at night, and we sleep when it's warmer during the day. Boy, that really changes my entire outlook and my cycle on cold weather. But there's a lot of little things like that. You're right that you get into and get on there.
Well, the irony is I always used to tell people, when I was a young infantryman, like I used to say, I would rather it be 25 degrees than like 37 degrees, because of the, just that kind of that variable kind of thing. But being on ORP duty in the middle of the night, it's 25 degrees sucks because you're just sitting there.
Right. I see that Josh Clark is in the chat, and it reminded me of something. Several people commented that you could tell at the Scout and Recce course who had taken my fieldcraft class before because they were much better in the woods. And Josh Clark was an example. He snuck around pretty good on the woods and did a pretty good low crawl up a steep hill, and he wasn't happy afterwards, but he did a great job. And Rowan, did I see the Beretta A300 Marine Special Edition? Yes, no less than 60 people tagged me in that, and God, I want that shotgun. Scott, did you see the Beretta frog skin camo?
No, I don't think I saw that.
A special edition for the Marine Corps birthday, and
I did see that one. Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Well, didn't you see what was it Beretta that was sharing all those shotguns with bayonets on them? I was somebody's trying to get
Mossberg.
Oh, it was Mossberg. I was like, somebody's trying to get Joe to buy a shotgun.
I have a Mossberg with a bayonet lug literally right over there. So
that's so funny.
If I don't get the birds that I'm hunting today with the shotgun, I'll just bayonet them. It's very simple. Anyway, check out the schedule. Yeah. Check out the website. I took the patches thing down temporarily because we're about out of patches. But buy books. We have a bunch on hand. They make great Christmas presents, and we'll make things happen.
How is there a fucking mosquito still alive? I missed it. All right. So awesome. I tell you what, Joe, I'm looking forward to how your winter training events go. I think that'll be cool. All right, let me do the brush beater ad, and then we'll jump right into our main topic here today. All right, tonight we're witnessing the collapse of the Pokrovsk pocket in Ukraine and the unsettling commie victory sweep. Let's be honest, they're all fucking commie victories. Sweep into U.S. politics. From crumbling front lines to ideological invasions, the tide turns fast. Enter our sponsor, Brush Beater Store, led by NC Scout, a.k.a. Matt. With training and gear to reclaim the advantage. When the pockets fall, the red flags rise. Sorry, I just love that. Brush Beater's RTO course arms you with secure comms to rally forces or to evade surveillance, bridging battlefields or backroom deals. Push forward with the advanced RTO course, mastering signals intel, electronic warfare to dismantle enemy networks, whether in Eastern Europe or American heartland. The tactical combat casualty care course hones your ability to treat wounds under fire, vital for retreat scenarios or political purges. And some of my favorite things that he's done are the Kyber Optics line, such as the MDO, which is the mini dot optic, which provides a close emitter red dot with shake awake and 50,000 hour battery life. unmatched for hitting targets in collapsing defenses or urban shadows. Fortify yourself at Brushbeater's Yanceyville, North Carolina training facility, or shop brushbeater.store/collections/trainings or collection/optics. Use code CFC10 for 5% off courses, optics, medical gear, or anything else that they may have. Orders over $100 ship for free. Thanks to Matt at the Brushbeater store for backing CFC. Visit brushbeater.store, enter code CFC10, and rise from the ruins. Now, on with this program. Gentlemen, two things, right? I think these are two topics that are important. They're both important, but one is absolutely absent from the media, like the mainstream media, and the other is, well, it's everywhere today, and that's the commie takeover in New York City. This first story is from Zero Hedge. Mondani projected to win mayoral election, and so it kind of tells the story that that Watcher was saying. Even if you added Cuomo and Sliwa into a combined ticket, they still don't. They don't even come close. Honestly, they're still like 4% off of Mondami's total. With the polls having closed in New York City, Decision Desk headquarters projected Zoran Mondami, I heard a really funny version of his name the other day. I can't remember what the last name part was, but the first part was Zoltan. I thought that was pretty funny. To win the New York City mayoral election, currently leading Andrew Cuomo at 51.5%. Even if this was a runoff kind of place, he's got a super majority. So, or not a super majority, but an absolute majority. So you wouldn't even get a runoff in a situation like this. So you got 51 for Mondami, 39.7 for Como, and Sliwa at 8%. Let's see. And then on top of that, you've got Abigail Spanberger won the Virginia gubernatorial election. They swept the elections pretty much everywhere. Mike Sherrill in New Jersey defeated former New Jersey General Assembly member Jack Citrelli. And then independent and unaffiliated voters forced to cast provisional ballots after polls. Books listing only Republicans and Democrats were delivered to polling sites. There was some really kind of shady electoral stuff. And I think, a lot of evidence has really come out to show how fucked up the electoral situation is in many of these states. There's got to be some reform in electoral laws, I think.
They're not ever going to reform them. They've broken the contract,
no,
and you need to understand where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in the takeover portion of this, and they're basically holding what they have and just kind of holding their nose until, we'll get them on the next one is basically their whole thing, and until they finally get us all in the next one, and then they turn America into.
I'll be honest, it's easier to fundraise when you're on your back foot than it is when you're on top and winning.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of where we're at, I really do.
I can't hear Washer at all.
Yeah.
I said, speaking of where we're at, I really appreciate what Voodoo 6's sentiment here. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, I can't read it. Let's see. Me watching conservative New Yorkers try and flee south.
Hey, bonus points if anyone can name that film, because I can. So in the chat, name that film.
Yeah, chat.
Anyway.
If you can name that film, Joe will give you something for free. The hitch is that you have to go to Montana to get it.
Yeah.
I didn't say what, Joe.
So Enemy at the Gates is the parenthetical title. It's actually called The Ballad of the Mosin Nagant. But yes, look at
wasn't Enemy? What is it? Enemy of the Gates based on that book, War of the Rats?
Yes. So. Well, it's based on the story of
And War of the Rats is the same. It's just a novel of the same thing. So I don't know.
It's not a novel. It's an actual documentary of the life of Vasily Zaitsev.
I thought it was a fictionalization of the whole thing. Like, I didn't think it was
a fictionalization, but it's about a real person.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's a novel, like a historical novel versus
historical novel. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. All right. I'm just kind of looking through the rest of the story here to see what. Most of this story is from before the end of the night, so it's kind of like it's all done by the crying at this point. Yeah. Some of the things that are actually kind of shocking are some of the Virginia wins, like that attorney general guy who wanted to kill his Republican and was fantasizing about killing his Republican counterparts or whatever. That guy got elected. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, it's really Virginia shouldn't shock me, but in a way, we've got a lot of friends that live there, and the rest. The state is as a whole very red, but there are pockets up by the D.C. metro area and Richmond and a little bit on the coast that are fairly blue, and it's just a perfect example of a lot of those purple to blue states where the cities basically own the countryside. California comes to mind in that case.
But the effect of them fleeing will entrench the communists.
Let's see. That's the next story.
Full of people who want everything for free. When you tell them you're going to give them everything for free, they will elect you.
Yep.
Wow.
Play the it's like the Obama phones. Do you remember that? Like all the freebies that Obama was promising back in 2008. Play the video, the Scott Jennings video here on the next link, Watcher. Yeah, I thought this is pretty good. Just pause it. So specifically, he's talking here about Mondami's acceptance speech, where he basically took the mask off and started like yelling at the people who voted for him, essentially, which is like white people and all the other people who are perceived as oppressors, right? And he's very much about, hey, this is going to be a city of immigrants again and things like that because we are going to fucking bring these people here. All right, go ahead, play.
Oh, are you saying he wasn't the unifying voice of a generation that you predicted mere moments ago? Axe, where was the man that you predicted would not slice and dice the? Look, guys, he started his speech by quoting Eugene Debs, who ran for president of the United States 5 times as the Socialist Party of America candidate. He repeatedly attacked people in this. No, I know my socialists. I keep a close eye on them. I work here. So here's the thing. He went after everybody that he thinks is a problem. People who own things, people who have businesses. He said an interesting quote: "No problem too large for government to solve."
Or too small, important.
And so when you think of the world that way, that every problem, no matter how small or how large, is something for government to do, let me just decipher this for you. Tax increases as far as the eye can see, which means the people who need to provide jobs to the young people that you say need jobs are going to flee as quickly as they possibly can. I think this was a divisive speech, and he clearly sees the world in terms of the people who are oppressing you and the oppressed. And he said the oppressed are now in City Hall.
I mean,
I want to know how CNN let that guy on.
That's the.
Well, they hire
thing.
him. He's a Republican.
Yeah, ever since he's actually fairly decent on a lot of issues, but the fact that he works for CNN makes you suspect.
Well, he's if you remember Juan, whatever his dumbass name was, he's basically their version of him.
Yeah.
Oh, Juan Williams.
Yeah.
Well, he was in Congress, wasn't he? I think I can't remember what he did. He was in the government.
That makes it all better.
No, I'm just trying to remember, but I don't think it was Congress because he's from Kentucky, so he was never a congressman from Kentucky. So I'm just trying to remember what he did. He might have worked for the Trump administration the first time around, but I can't remember.
You ever heard of a call duck?
Oh yeah,
100%. It's basically that.
Let's see. Anyway, the lot of, like, even Van Jones was critical of Mondami's speech he made last night. Like, wait a second, where's all the kind of the brotherhood, unifying rhetoric in the grateful speech? But no, he was face full on, communist in his speech. 1 million New Yorkers say they will flee New York City if Mondami wins today. Well, he's won. So when does the tide begin? Where do we think they go? Everybody's saying Florida, but there's a shit ton of New Yorkers in North Carolina. There's a shit ton of New Yorkers in parts of Virginia, probably South Carolina too. But hey,
I was trying to figure this out. I was so last night, shortly before they officially called it, when it seemed obvious, I started trying to see Google Trends for like how to move to blank from New York. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really getting anything definitive.
Well, the interesting thing to me will be if you start seeing like housing rates and things like that go up, spike, like more than 3 to 5% in some of these East Coast markets in the next couple months.
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen. I'm just saying my Google foo wasn't strong enough to pick up which one it's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, if 3/4 of the police department doesn't quit, then that'll tell you something about American law enforcement, right? Because he's going to use them as a club against everyone. And if you are truly constitutional, you should just bounce and get another job. In law enforcement, that's easy to do from New York. Right.
Yeah.
Plus, let's be honest. You have the opportunity to force one of the funniest things ever. The anti-police guy is going to have to hire a whole bunch of police when you all quit. It's going to be hilarious.
Well, the people who he hires will not be hilarious. They'll basically be former Hamas soldiers who exfilled from Gaza.
Of course, and I agree. But what I mean is the optics. The optics will be hilarious there for a whole day and a half.
Here's the other thing too. He said that he's going to, basically downsize the police. He will increase it. He's said he's going to decriminalize violence, because violence is a social construct and not an actual thing. No, he will employ the government monopoly on violence to an unlimited degree.
What's going to happen is the city's going to drop into a degeneracy of crime, and more so than it already is. And hey, it's what they voted for. And guess what? The biggest problem, who was bragging on Twitter all last night about their votes? White liberal women, including former Mayor de Blasio, who is wearing a Hot Chicks for Mamdani shirt.
Yeah, he's basically a white liberal. Yeah.
And they're going to be the ones most impacted by his decisions. And
how long do you think it's going to be before some chic fashion hijab thing pops up?
He won't.
Oh, watch it! It's already popped up.
Oh,
I don't know. I think he's too smart for that.
Oh no! I'm saying as the white women adopting it on their own. Not even because they're Muslim, but because they want to show respect.
Oh, they already do that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm saying. I'm wondering when a large national brand pops up. Who's going to be the Lululemon of Nike, white women hijabs?
Nike sells them as a sports object.
Ugh.
So.
Ugh.
Expectations for the city under Mondami skew negative, with 47% foresee more crime and violence, 43% expect fewer businesses, 39% think that terrorism risk will worsen, 45% predict anti-Semitism will increase. Housing affordability is his one strong point, with 39% believing it will improve. It won't. Or if it does improve, the quality will go way down. Mamdani proposes free childcare, free rent freezes, public grocery stores, fare-free buses, higher taxes on top earners and corporations. Critics argue this will prompt a business exodus similar to California's losses. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo says the agenda would exacerbate the problem, flight from New York City by high-income earners. As Singer put it, people are already preparing to leave before a Mamdani election. There's less and less reason to stay here. The irony here is that I think we'll see very much the Sadiq Khanization of New York City. You're going to see a lot of just incidental crime go up. But I think also, Joe, what's that New York City police unit that's actually pretty effective, the anti-terror unit?
The Joint Terrorism Task Force?
Is that what it's called? I thought it was some.
Or
I thought there was
CTU, counterterrorist.
I think that's it. I think it's CTU, right? Supposedly he's going to get rid of that completely.
Which you know why he's doing that? Because they have a presence in Gaza. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Another fun, interesting fact for you: all these Joint Terrorism Task Force and all this. Guess who now probably has access to all the information that they had?
Oh yeah, the terrorists.
Yeah, and here's their problem. The tax year doesn't end until December 31st, and he doesn't take office until sometime in January. So all of these businesses and business people and folks who already have 3 homes, right? One of them being in New York City, will change their residence to prevent his tax raid from impacting them. And it's going to happen very, very, very quick.
Also, stand by for New York to do something exactly like California has tried to do, which is tax people who leave.
ESU, I think, is the unit that the emergency service.
Unit? Just a SWAT team.
Yeah. Well, right. And I think that's the one that he's targeting specifically, which is kind of ironic. How would they get rid of their SWAT team? I mean, the biggest city in America needs a fucking SWAT team.
Well, their SWAT team is like 600 guys strong. So,
yeah, it's pretty big, right? It's probably the biggest, I would assume. I'm just trying to check my work here.
Oh boy. I think New Hampshire is probably in danger, if I was going to make a guess.
New Hampshire's in danger of what? I mean, they've been in danger.
Being overrun by fleeing New Yorkers.
Oh, yeah. That would make sense. I mean, for people who live in the city, I think the most likely place is Connecticut because you can still work in the city. But if you work in the city, you can still get taxed in the city, right?
Yeah. Yeah. New Hampshire's the only place that's even semi-free up there, and it's close enough that you can try and effect a return if you're the MacArthur type.
Strategic Response Group is the one that he's said that he's going to get rid of. I guess that's a gang and violent crime and riots and things like that. I guess that's what they go for. I don't know. Anyway, SRG.
Probably the Jump Out Boys, if I was going to make a guess.
Well, anybody that is an oppressive unit has to be. All right. Next up. So, I mean, if communism in New York isn't good enough, I present to you communism in Montana. Joe, you probably are tracking this.
First of all, it says Helena right on it. That's like not Montana, nor is Missoula or Bozeman. So
Well, she's going at. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're doing there.
yeah.
So she's going after, I guess, Tim Sheehy. Let's see, Helena City Commission candidate Haley McKnight. The problem is, Joe, is that people in Helena and Bozeman make rules for people that live in places like where you live. That's the problem. It's the same fucking problem that Virginia's got, right? It's these fucking out of towners, people who aren't from that place. They just live in these big cities, and they essentially vote the way they voted in California and New York City or whatever. And it's anyway. Sorry, I'm distracted. It comes on the day the voters are going into the polls in Virginia, where the Democratic candidate for Attorney General Jay Jones admitted that he previously expressed a desire to kill a political opponent. She says that she hopes that Chin Sheehy gets cancer and dies. In her voicemail, McKnight states, "Hi, this is Haley McKnight. I'm a constituent in Helena, Montana. I just want to let you know that you are the most insufferable kind of coward and thief. You just stripped away health care for 17 million Americans, and I hope you're really proud of that. I hope that one day you get pancreatic cancer and it spreads throughout your body so fast that they can't even treat it for you." She goes on to say, "I hope you die in the street." Well, I know, we're very specific. "I hope you die in the streets like a dog. One day you're going to live to regret this. I hope your children never forgive you. I hope you are infertile and that he's already got children. So anyway, I hope you manage to never get a boner ever again. You're the worst piece of shit I've ever had the misfortune of looking at. God forbid that you ever meet me on the street because I will make you regret it. Fuck you. I hope you die. All that you have done since you have gotten into power is do shit for yourself." I mean, this is exactly the woke white women we're talking about here.
Why is it always white women, though?
Tell me how you really feel, lady.
For those of you who are going to say, but what about...
I'm sorry, go ahead, Watcher.
So I was going to say, for those of you who are going to say, well, but what about Jay Jones? Like I said, it's always white women. Why is it always white women?
McKnight moved to Montana from North Carolina and owned Sage and Oats Trading Post, which he describes as a successful Native American-owned gift store. Wait a second.
Hold up a minute.
Her name is Haley. She's not Native American.
What was striking about this story was McKnight's response. She explained how her rage was righteous and blamed conservatives for making public a voicemail that with threats left at the office of a U.S. senator. In an interview about the controversy, she insisted, I was responding to some horrible policy with some justified rage. I would hope that if he was so rattled by my voicemail that he would have contacted me instead of leaking my information to conservative news media the night before an election. It feels like a cheap shot, and I'm one of his constituencies. And this message is nothing that I'd say to my grandmother or in front of my children. It was meant for Senator Sheehy alone. But see, that's the thing.
Here's the thing. Under the Public Records Act, it's 100% belongs in the public domain. So you could say you thought it was going to be private all you want. You would be the first to screech if you demanded one of his voicemails and he refused to give it to you. So you can't have it both ways.
Joe, what's crazy is even if he wanted to suppress it and keep it private, if let's say you found out about it, you could then FOIA and they would be forced to give you like a transcript of it or maybe even the actual recording. Let's see. You should let's see. So McKnight insists that such threats and insults are justified when you disagree with others. She is clearly not alone, as shown in Virginia. Many voters will still vote for such a candidate. Indeed, many may be drawn to such candidates by such rhetoric. Ironically, her campaign site quotes her saying, "I've worked hard to combat loneliness epidemic in our community." Raving about others and wishing them cancer and celebrating their death may not be the best approach for building relationships with the chronically lonely.
Well, I will say that as a bright spot, she took third in a 4-way race.
Yes.
The only guy who did worse than her was whoever Sean White Wolf is. Hey, look,
He's
an
the actual.
Native American.
Maybe he's her Native American business partner.
Oh. I like to laugh at it because it helps you, you know. If you don't laugh at it, you just kind of break down and aren't able to function. But, yeah, realize where we're at, guys. Somebody said it. They want us dead. They're not going to stop. It's not going to get better. The crazy is not going to go out of them. It's only going to get more and more feral as time goes on. Get prepared to deal with it.
So the last kind of like entree into communism is kind of a sharp 90-degree turn off of the political kind of rise of communist and socialist rhetoric that's occurring in this current election cycle, and that's some of the kind of built-in DEI neo-Marxist communist kind of stuff that's going on in corporate politics. And specifically, I draw your attention to the recent shareholder vote for Tesla, where Elon Musk is basically, hey, he's like got his people that he wants to line up for the board. He's got some big plans for Tesla. He's got a fucking massive compensation package, but the compensation package only kicks in if he gets like hits these 9 metrics, right? And they're all fucking absurd, right? They're probably. Maybe he'll hit 3 of them, but he's probably not going to hit all 9, i.e. that means he would never get the compensation package. But who knows? He got the previous one, and a Delaware court took it away from him. And the funny thing is that nobody expected Tesla stock to do what it did. So it's like the Delaware court had no problem when they voted for it and they ratified it into the bylaws of the corporation. But then when the stock went so high and the amount ended up being like $900 billion or something like that, I can't remember, some stupid amount. They basically said, sorry, that's too much money. He can't get that. We're going to strike that down. This is a Delaware judge decided to do that. And now you're basically seeing round 2 of this. Now that Tesla has moved out of Delaware into Texas, I believe is where they're headquartered now. And so the key thing here that I didn't know this, and I don't know if you guys know this. You may, but I was unaware. Institutional investors like Fidelity and BlackRock and all these kind of giant corporations that own these huge blocks, they don't actually vote their shares. They turn them over to these corporate governance organizations, and these corporate governance organizations literally just study the issues and vote based on, let's be honest, ESG related things, right? And so ESG, we were all worried about ESG like 2 years ago and whatnot during the heart of the heat of the Biden administration. But now ESG is very quickly on the way out. The problem is it's alive and well at these corporate governance organizations, and both. Like there's a white man and a diverse female candidate, right? They say the white man can't be the candidate because they say they vote no on the white man because he's not diverse enough, and they vote no on the woman because she is objectionable for some other reason. But the fact that she is diverse doesn't give her any credit, right? So Charles Schwab votes their own shares. Rather than turning it over to a corporate governance kind of company. And this is what this story is about. So I'll pause there, take a breath so you guys can get a word in. I apologize for going down that rabbit hole.
The government should have no say in how much money a private citizen makes. That's simple.
Bingo. I mean, especially these founders of companies. It's like the reason why people will do the things that they do is because they can get rich doing it, right? There is a personal
not even founders. He has a board of directors, and they decided that that's the dollar value they put on his leadership, not any of the state's business.
Exactly right. So let's go into this current thing here. Tesla investors unleashed what appears to be a successful pressure campaign against Charles Schwab on Tuesday. The day began with furious shareholders threatening a mass exodus from the brokerage as social media posts about withdrawing funds ranked in the millions of views. Now, the reason I became aware of this was because a lot of my money is in Schwab. And when I found out about this, I'm like, okay, so what are my exit strategy from Schwab? Because if they're going to tank, Tesla, which I am invested in, then I can't trust Schwab. If I can't trust them in one thing, why could I trust them with my money, right? And so it's kind of like it's just a no-brainer. You have to move your money to some place that you can actually trust to manage it correctly. The uproar centered around Schwab's plan to vote no on Elon Musk's multi-billion-dollar Tesla pay package. And by late afternoon trading, according to at least one investor, the firm quietly reversed course. Let's see. Tesla investor Sawyer Merritt wrote on X, I have just confirmed that Charles Schwab will be voting for Elon Musk's 2025 CEO Performance Award plan. Schwab voted no in both 2018 and 2024 pay packages. Schwab says Schwab Asset Management intends to vote in favor of the 2025 CEO Performance Award proposal. We firmly believe that supporting this proposal aligns with management and shareholder interests. You're goddamn fucking right it does, because that's what management and shareholders, people who actually buy the stock because it's their money and they're buying the stock with it, versus these giant faceless corporations like BlackRock that are just piles of money that buy these huge stakes in companies. Joe, I don't know what I am worried about more: these courts making these fucking decisions that they have no right to do, or these faceless, kind of BlackRock, State Streets, all these kind of like, private equity firms that just kind of quietly behind the scenes, blackmail and pressure these corporations to do things. It's either our way or our fucking money goes away. Now, to the extent that they are investors and they own a majority share or something like that, okay, they own the company, right? They can run it the way they want. But when they're only 5-10% of the equity holders, I mean, that's an outsized, and you could argue, oh, well, BlackRock's not making this decision. They've turned it over to ISS, or I can't remember what's the other one. But these are those woke corporate governance companies. I mean, it just seems like there's got to be something, and there's got to be a law against this. And if there's not, that we need to fucking look at making one. All right. Let me continue on here. Merritt noted, yes, I just got off the phone with multiple people at Schwab. They read me the full internal memo that corporate just put together. Any Schwab client can now call their advisor and representative and confirm my news. So Jason DeBolt is the guy I actually found out about this. I found out about it yesterday on X. And he basically said he was instrumental in putting together the pressure campaign on X, basically saying, hey, if Schwab does this, we're taking our money out. And I bet Jason DeBolt's got several millions of dollars with Schwab. And probably knows a lot of other people who are in the same boat. So rich people with our interests at heart can help us when it's also their interest.
I'm still trying to figure out why any of this impacts the general public at large to the point that we're talking about it.
Well, I mean, you've got
a package that has nothing to do with future conflict whatsoever.
So you've got a 401k type situation, right? Like an IRA or something like that, right? Like with mutual funds, right? So your retirement is probably is in some way tied up in Tesla, and if it's tied up with Tesla, it's tied up.
How does that tie to future conflict?
Right. So this goes back, like I said in the very beginning, just another form of communism that is basically choosing the path for your life without you ever having the ability to generally A, even know about it, or B, if you do know about it, being able to do anything about it. Like for instance, if you had your money at Charles Schwab, I don't know where you guys have your money. I have my money at Charles Schwab. right? If they're going to make decisions based on Marxist ideas, I think we should know about it, and that will affect a large number of people in America because I think 60% of Americans own stock in some way, and most of them own it through mutual funds, i.e., other people manage their money, like Fidelity or Charles Schwab or one of these other types of things. So when communism is making decisions for you, if you don't know about it, then you can't act upon it.
That's
kind of where
I don't let anyone make decisions for me. That's not me.
That's what I'm saying.
The great thing about America is the power is derived from the consent of the governed. All we have to do is withdraw our consent.
Right. This is, and I think this is the story here is when you push back against the Charles Schwab, then they change their position because
This might be surprising. Charles Schwab is not the government.
I got it, but my point is that
we have to coordinate those actions that you're talking about to withdraw our consent, like withdrawing our funds. That's how we do it with corporations.
Right. So to the extent that corporations are a kind of micro governments within the greater government, I think it's important for us to let them know if their interests go against our interests, that's how we feel.
And I think that the big takeaway from the story is take a look at those who manage your money. Are they turning over their decisions to these corporate governance management structures? And if so, find a new place to manage your money.
Yeah, make sure that people have your interest at heart.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Anyway, that was just kind of a little addendum at the end of the communism is still here and alive and well in America,
and actually thriving. So.
Yep. And oh, by the way, I don't know that this goes away. I think Mondami is the prototype for what the type of candidates they'll run in the midterms. Now, midterms are a different story than this, but this is where I think we're going. What do you guys bet that the leading candidate against J.D. Vance or whoever ends up being the candidate in, was it 28, is some sort of avowed socialist? I bet that's the way the Democratic Party is going right now. There is no center in the Democratic Party at this point.
Well, no, that is the question. Is that there is some center. And surprisingly, it's, people who were a lot more radical left when they had brain damage, and now that their brain damage is starting to subside, they are getting more and more rightward leaning every day. Isn't that odd?
Well, it's buyer's remorse is what it is.
Well, there's a lot of it. It's just they're not the loud ones. They're not the ones who get any attention, and the media is specifically not paying any attention to them. Both sides of the media. The Republican media wants to focus on the extreme ones because that's what drives clicks and views. The Democrat media wants to focus on the extreme ones because they're taking marching orders from the top, and the top has said, yeah, we're getting more extreme. But there is a decently sized chunk of like blue dog style Democrats. They exist. They're around, and they don't like what they're seeing. So the question is, are they going to go along with all this just to try and go along to get along, or are they going to force a split in the party?
Hey, a question came up in there. A comment came up in the chat that said, "Just wait for the Muslim community patrols in Manhattan." Watcher, I want to share this
already
picture. Share the screen right here.
Yeah.
Don't they have those cars? They have their own police
cars.
cars.
Photo is dated 2019, so it's been going on for a long time. It's not new. It's been there for quite a while. Anyway.
And that's paid for by the NYPD, if I remember correctly, right? This is actual city funds that pay this. This is not like CARE working with them. Yeah,
and that was long before Mamdani. So,
yeah. The good question about the American left right now is which side ends up winning? Like, is it the Muslim side or is it the Marxist side, or did the Muslims use the Marxists and then cap, and then on their triumphant victory day, cap them in the back of the head and take over it violently at that point?
I think both of them are planning to do basically the same thing to each other.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right.
It's a leftist revolution. It's given.
All right. So I want to go on to talk about Ukraine and how that can affect the wider world, because Here's the problem, right? I don't feel like Russia is going out of their way to threaten NATO, like overtly. And Putin's even said some things. I think I actually have. I might be able to find the post where Putin actually came right out and said how he feels about that idea. But there is a consistent, Joe, you've pointed this out to me several times in the past. There is a consistent voice within NATO specifically, but also just in the West, where this like, oh, we've got to get ready for when Russia attacks. Like this whole kind of like, we're trying to manifest this into reality, this kind of war with Russia between the West. And it's almost like they want it to happen, and which it doesn't make sense because it would go nuclear. I mean, that's because Russia is outnumbered at this point.
Well, the Russian boogeyman is a great club to beat your citizenry with, right? You have to submit to these new rules and laws because Russia. You have to give up some of your free speech because Russia is coming. And all this stuff helps them do what they want to do. But imagine this headline on a longer timeline. Germany dodges Russia's offer of non-aggression guarantee. The last time Russia got a non-aggression guarantee from Germany, it didn't quite go the way they thought it was going to go. And now Russia is offering one to them. So,
right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting as well, too. So, I found that post. Okay. Let's go through the story here. Amidst enduring anxiety over potential for Ukrainian war to escalate to a third world war, Russia last week offered to cement its disinterest in invading Europe by entering a formal non-aggression pact with European Union and NATO states. However, Germany quickly signals its disinterest in such a treaty, at least for now. In making the case for pouring weapons and money into Ukraine and urging it to prolong the war at any cost, Western hawks routinely claim that Russian President Vladimir Putin is bent on reconstituting the Soviet Union and eventually conquering Europe. Speaking of the Third Minsk International Conference in Belarus last Tuesday, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov not only rejected those accusations, but said the country is willing to enter into a non-aggression pact. He says, we have repeatedly said that we have had and have no intentions to attack any current NATO or EU member. We are also ready to enshrine this position in future security guarantees for this part of Eurasia. Lavrov also expressed exasperation with Western governments, saying meaningful dialogue with them is futile for now, given their refusal to entertain genuine collective security guarantees and address security interests of all parties, including Russia. The heads of state...
If they have a non-aggression pact with Russia, it destroys the ability to raise taxes. Because right now they're all saying we have to raise our taxes to pay for defense against Russia.
That's exactly right. It also smashes their ability to continue to arm Ukraine and use that as a way to potentially, we got to re-energize our defense industry. There's no way in hell they're going to build it without that. So what they're doing is, if we build it for the Ukrainians, then we could then also build it for ourselves. All right, let me go back. Let's see. He said the heads of states and government of the European Union avoid consideration of these future guarantees, which are based on a completely collective foundation, and proudly declare that after the Ukraine crisis, security guarantees should exist not with Russia's participation, but against Russia. This is their example of their mindset. Let me send you this link here. This is actually Putin talking. I think this is recently. It might have even been at this Minsk conference. If you just open that, it's an RT video with subtitles, so we can just play the video without any. I don't know. We can listen to the audio. I guess it's just Russian though. I'll read the subtitles, and we're going to attack NATO. What kind of nonsense is this? This is nonsense, and they deceive their population in order to ensure the money is squeezed out of The budget 5%, 3.5% plus 1.5%. Right, and they explain their failures in the economy and their social and the social, and the social, and that's where it ends.
Social sphere,
social sphere. So, I mean, I think he's right on the money. He's basically saying this is just like what Joe said. Joe, had you seen this quote before? This is a new one, so this is a new post from yesterday. Yeah, so because he basically says exactly what you say, where it's an opportunity for them to tax their citizens at a higher rate for all these additional spending. Some of it is domestic military, but others are military stuff going to Ukraine. Like Trump said, listen, we'll sell weapons to Ukraine, but Europe, you got to pay for them, which. That's pretty capitalist of him, I gotta say. Let's see. There was another quote here. Those who are dragging European countries into a new war with Russia, we do not send our tanks to their borders, but we have something to answer them with, and it will not end with the use of armored vehicles. And so that's the whole point. Like, if Europe insists on beginning this, Russia, because they're so heavily engaged in the Ukraine, they've got to they would have to respond with other means, and I would assume that's some sort of WMD to include nukes.
Yeah, I mean that's what he's saying, right? That's what he's throwing out there.
So I mean, what I don't understand is this kind of like, why would anybody want to get into that war, right? I don't understand that. I mean, I don't think. Joe, the only thing I can conclude, if they're rational, right, is that they don't believe, they think he's bluffing, that he wouldn't do it.
As a general rule, war is not a rational thought process, right? It should be, but it's not. And whenever nations throughout history have faced economic woes and economic collapse, what has been the answer? War. And wars reset things to zero. Sure, they cause debt, but they also cause the opportunity to impose that debt upon your enemies at the conclusion of hostilities through reparations. So I think that Europe, they've forgotten what war is like, but it's also a reminder that war is part of the human condition. It's been a piece of history since the first two tribes met and decided they both wanted the same land, or the same food source, or the same water source. And it has gone on forever. To believe that we live in some sort of a post-war society is silly. The only people who believe this are Western society. The rest of the world continues to wage war and conduct warfare unhindered. So I don't know why we have this belief. I honestly think that they've forgotten what it's like to be in a major conflict. And they want something to thumb their noses at, and Russia is there as a convenient boogeyman. I don't think anyone actually wants to fight Russia, but they want everyone to think they will. And in order to do that, that enables them to impose stricter restrictions upon their citizenry. It allows them to impose higher taxes. It allows them to buy more machinery of state enforcement that can then be used on their own citizens rather than fighting against the Russians.
Joe, I think
rambling thing make any sense?
No, I think you're right. And the bottom line is it's rational because they have no intention of ever fighting a war with Russia.
Correct.
It's all basically Russia is a scapegoat to allow them to do things that they want to do in other ways.
Allow them to build up their state security apparatus to turn upon their citizenry. So, and I don't mean that in an attack ways, but I just mean tighten controls and restrict movement. And
and they're also scared shitless that they are losing the United States as kind of the call option on U.S. defense, right? I think that scares them in a very, like, for instance, Poland never bought into it, right? That was the whole point of Poland building up before. I mean, they were building up before the war even started, right? Now, let's be honest.
Poland has a history of allies leaving her behind. Right.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So there is some national scar tissue that they have to do, to get through. Right. That some lessons that they've learned, and they have a very conservative populace, even if some of their politicians are a little more Euro, right? They're very Euro skeptical. Whereas Germany has basically completely lost the plot in their defense, and they realize that. And a Trump administration, but a potential 8 years of JD Vance, while they're not pulling U.S. soldiers out there, what they're definitely not doing is bending over backwards to defend the motherland anymore, or fatherland in the case of Germany. All right. Let's see. Let me go on to the next one. Okay, so we got this map here. I want to show everybody what the current situation is. Do the first link in the notes, Watcher. It's just a map. It's just the image of the map from ISW. And it's a pretty good overview of the Ukraine situation with all the kind of the key points here. So what you have here is Ukraine. And then what you've got in the green area are the previously the areas where Russia had previously pushed into early in the war, but then pulled back from once the fighting got tough. Because they were a little overextended based on some of the, early successes that were more surprise than anything else. And then they had to rejigger their military, and things kind of changed. And drones became drones really weren't a big thing until about year one, right? Toward at the end of the first year, and that kind of changed things.
I would challenge that even though they get a lot of the attention, they're still not actually having any impact on the front line. I'll be honest.
So
the front line would be way farther back than it is.
I think that any effect that drones are having, I will modify that just for my point of view. It's being offset, kind of like when they both use drones, it's basically the same as zero drones, right? So you have an offsetting effect, I think.
Well, it's not the drones, it's the terrain plus the drones. That's a problem. If they were fighting only in wooded areas, drones would be negated and would be a non-issue. Because they're fighting in open plains, because that's what happens to be there, drones are an issue.
Urban areas and things like this.
In an urban area, right?
Yeah. All right. So what we've got here is the orange areas are the parts of Russia that are the parts of Ukraine that Russia has occupied currently. Now, the black areas, the black outlined areas, these are parts that Russia occupied before the beginning of the 2022 offensive. And we've got basically a couple, main effort and supporting efforts here. So the main effort number one is Eastern Ukraine. So it's specifically kind of Luhansk area in the north. You've got supporting main effort number one, which is the Kharkiv operation. I haven't heard too much about that, and I'm not quite sure. It doesn't look like it's grown that much recently because of all the focus down in Donetsk. Let's see. You've got the supporting effort and the northern axis up by Sumy, that was pretty critical towards the beginning of the year. After the fall of the Kharkiv pocket that Ukraine had pushed into Kharkiv with. Kursk, rather than Kharkiv. And then down here in Donetsk, Luhansk Oblast is where you basically have the key fighting that's going on right now, specifically Pokrovsk, which is what we're going to kind of hone in on here in the next map. And then you've got the southern area by Mariupol, Melitopol, and then Kherson on the kind of far end of the line. There's fighting down there, but it's pretty static. It's been pretty static for at least the last 2 years, right, Joe? Ever since they blew the dam, it's been pretty static. But the only thing that even happened in there was the summer offensive from 2023, right?
Yes.
And that was basically a spring offensive that turned into a summer offensive that turned into a fall fizzle. All right, so that's the overview of Ukraine. Some of the key cities: Sumy, Kharkiv,
May I mention a
Donetsk.
side point here?
Yeah, go ahead.
You notice you're not seeing any videos smuggled out of the occupied territories of Russian atrocities against Ukrainian civilians. You know why that is? It's not happening. Everyone claimed that that was going to happen in Mariupol, but it hasn't. People go about their daily lives there. It's just a change of what uniform is on the street. And it's the same for Ukrainian side. When the Russians say, oh, the Ukrainians are going to do this, you're not seeing videos of that either. You see atrocities against each other's soldiers on both sides. Both sides are wrong for doing that. But this belief that Russians are just evil who are going to go through and slaughter all the civilians in there, the people who live in these areas are ethnic Russians. And to Russia, they are Russians. So.
What? Yeah, that's really interesting that you mentioned that, Joe, because here lately Ukraine used one particular video to show, look at the Russian killing the civilian guy walking down the street with a white flag and his wife, and the guy's got a dog, and they kill the guy with the white flag and the dog, and then another drone comes in, and like the woman sitting there like praying like on the side of the road or whatever, and then the drone goes. Okay, so I'm not denying that happened. I have no idea who did it, if it's Russian footage or Ukrainian footage. Yeah. I have no idea. But the fact that the Ukrainians shared it and the Russians shared it, they both shared it, which is, I think, interesting. It basically, what tells me is that it happened, but ultimately there's no way of knowing who
did it or why.
Right. Exactly. So it basically
preceded the video. Right.
And it zeroes that out. What was interesting is one of the Russian account, I think it was Lord Bibo or somebody like that, shared a Russian super cut of drones coming in, checking people out, realizing they're civilians, and then waving off at the last minute rather than doing an attack run on them. So, and there were people walking down the street, there were people on scooters, there were people like in a boat with like a father and a son. They were obviously like an older man and a young boy fishing in a boat. And the drone comes in, checks them out, and then waves off. And they even do the little waggle thing, with the drone to show that, hey, look, like an acknowledgement, and then they fly off. So for every asshole on both sides, there are regular people on both sides that don't want to kill civilians.
Yeah, there are a couple units that are notorious for what they do. Azov being one, and there's a couple of Russian units as well. But it's not everyone. And the video that set off all that controversy earlier in the year of the guy running down the road and a drone chasing him and him sitting down and the drone killing him, the guy didn't have shoelaces or a belt, which tells me he was a prisoner and was released for the purposes of the video. And to me, that's a wrong that can't be undone. Right.
And you're right. And so when you can't blame one side, you have to basically blame all leadership.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So this next post, this is the Pokrovsk Post watcher. So what you've got here is essentially a blow up of of the Pokrovsk pocket. Now, the interesting thing you'll notice is that the vast majority of the actual urban area of Pokrovsk is now under Russian control. Now, the Ukrainians dispute this, but there are verified videos of Russians in every one of the spots here that this guy talks about. Now, this guy right here is clearly not what you'd call pro-Russian. He says a catastrophe is unfolding in the strategic city of Pokrovsk, where thousands of Ukrainian soldiers are encircled. However, the media downplays the situation to maintain public support for the war, as some Europeans might start calling for a return to diplomacy.
This is literally the third time this exact scenario has happened. Mariupol, Bakhmut, here.
Right. Exactly right. Exactly. The first one, if you remember, was hold on a second. I'm trying to remember. It was an A. The city started with
Avdiivka?
Avdiivka, right? That was the first one. That was the big fortress city that was, it was been on the line ever since like 2013, 2014, when the war really solidified. And ever since then had been a fortress city, but it got surrounded.
You brought up 2014. I want to point out that on that last graphic, it shows the bias of the ISW when they said that Russia wants to capture Luhansk and Donetsk. The truth of the matter is Luhansk and Donetsk left Ukraine in 2014 and were then invaded by Ukraine. It's not capture, it's retake, right? Allowing self-determination. Now, I'm not saying the Russians are right in this, but we have to be accurate on the chain of events that occurred in the beginning of the war. They're not capturing anything. They're restoring the status quo that existed before 2014.
So you have this guy come in immediately. So like I looked at this Glenn Deason. I think he's one of these kind of like trying to be middle of the road, kind of people. So you can't say that he's a Russia shill or he's a Ukraine shill. He just seems like a middle of the road kind of guy. So this guy comes in the responses and says, this is a Russian map. It's not true. Pokrovsk is not a strategic city at all. It's a small town with a population near 60,000. Dude, no, we're not talking about population. We're talking about the road networks that go through there, the rail networks that go through there. Anybody looking at a map sees this as a logistical hub. Now, it is not a logistical hub anymore because it's fucking surrounded, and it probably hasn't been for the last 4 months because of because of how close Russia's got. There are not thousands of Ukrainian soldiers encircling Pokrovsk. It's okay. So nobody's saying there's thousands. We don't know how many there are because but the Ukrainian military knows, and they sure as fuck aren't telling you how many there are. And if 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers get encircled, the only way you're going to see that is when Russia broadcasts the soldiers as they surrender. All right, let me go into the next one here. This is Rob Lee. He's been a good poster. He's on the balance. He's generally pro-Western, I would say, which tends to land pro-Ukraine, but he's not an AFO bro because he does show stuff from both sides. And so what this is video of Russian channels showing soldiers, reportedly Russian, walking through northeastern Pokrovsk at the multi-stop gas station. So what he'll do is he'll geolocate a lot of this kind of footage, verify it, and then broadcast it because it's what's being reported. And so this is, I think, this is one of those kind of critical road networks, kind of leading to the west here. The first guy below says, "I see a city in rubble. What was Russia going to do with it?" Well, the same thing they do with all the other fucking cities.
That's what war is. It's shocking.
And there are a lot of pro-Western sites that are not. They're not trying to gaslight us and oh, this is not. Don't believe your lying eyes. Let's see the next one here. All right, so video of soldiers. These are Ukrainian special operations soldiers operating in Pokrovsk, so you can kind of see what this is like on the ground. Now, Joe, the thing that I think that this video shows very well is just the kind of chaotic, environment that modern warfare is. I mean, it is not a clean kind of stripped down type thing. Here they are shooting at drones.
Shooting at drones with a rifle. Brilliant. Yeah. Strong move.
I did see that's him shooting I think either a dead body or a wounded bad guy. Because that's what you do with wounded people on the ground
who are clearly out of the fight.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of these are this. And here's the thing: they got no problem with this. Otherwise, they wouldn't allow this kind of stuff to get out there with a Ukrainian unit logo on it.
Because they say that Russians aren't humans.
This guy says, not a bad idea to tag a video that shows point blank killing of a wounded or a POW. Yeah, I mean, that's
Right.
that's true, but it's also exactly what's happening. Let's see, moving on. So here's a story from the Ukrainian POV, right? So I checked this gal out. She's been consistently, she's pro-Ukrainian, but she tries to actually report facts. So the title is there a risk of insurgency in Pokrovsk, and what awaits Minoriad, which is the other little town on the other that's inside the pocket but hasn't been captured yet. Soldiers explain. Let's see. Pokrovsk and Minoriad are already fucked. In short, begins the conversation with a let's see. I don't know what Heros Madisk is. I wonder. It says pilot, so I wonder if it's like, I don't know, some kind of a drone thing or like a UAV or whatever. His name changed at his request. He had just left positions at Pokrovsk, where he spent 13 days. During this time, his unit had to retreat 3 times because the Russians were moving quickly through the city. The UAV unit, okay, so he's a UAV pilot, found itself 900 meters from the enemy and was forced to operate in a city into which the Russians were penetrating deeper and deeper. Pessimistic forecasts about the future of the key city in southern Donetsk is expressed not only by soldiers working directly in the city, but also by officers. Everything that is gray on deep state in the city of Pokrovsk should be painted red. About 60% of the city the Russians control. The enemy is in Radinisk and Mironad. The situation is shitty. Describes the situation as high risk. A high risk officer from the Pokrovsk Axis who agreed to talk on the condition of anonymity. Pokrovsk found itself on the verge of full occupation after hundreds of Russians seeped into the city. Ukrainian military has been unable to eliminate the gaps in the defense through which the enemy enters since the summer. This led to the Russians accumulating in Pokrovsk in the fall. The presence became so large that it threatens the encirclement of the entire Ukrainian garrison. Wow, there may be thousands of Ukrainian soldiers in there. Who were in Pokrovsk on the forward positions are already basically in encirclement, from which there are very few chances to get out. There are buildings, blocks, streets to pass through, which without being shot is almost impossible. The commands hold different opinions, believed that strike search actions to which additional units are involved. So did you see the video the other day of the Black Hawk insertion that reportedly occurred? So
no, I tend to block out most things Ukraine related these days. But I can't let something go by without comment. It penetrated deeply into Pokrovsk, not into Djibouti.
That's true. I mean, yeah, it's the attack from the rear is way more deadly. But do you remember in what's the coastal city that was the first big city to fall? It was got surrounded. They were fighting in that ironworks.
Mariupol.
Thank you. It popped out of my head. Do you remember the helicopter raid that they did in there to get the VIPs out that they weren't able to get out, and some that they got out died in the helicopters?
A Canadian general that was hiding in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's what this is. I think there are probably either advisors or
we got to remove all the Americans, Brits, and Canadians before anybody finds them.
At this point in the war, I don't know if they are there. I think what this is Ukraine has its own important people that they want to get out, like key commanders or key people who, they know are, intelligence types, that type of thing. When you run on the bleeding edge, you have the likelihood of losing people like that. So I wonder maybe if that wasn't what that was, but reportedly Russia shot down one of the Blackhawks, and then there was reportedly video of 2. The story the Russians put out is that they got out and immediately were killed within 30-40 minutes because the drone operators basically swarmed them, killing them basically one at a time with drones. So I take all stories that come out of Ukraine, no matter what side, with a grain of salt. But The point is that there's clearly some end of days for Pokrovsk going on right now.
How good is the Ukrainian escape and evasion school?
Exactly right. Let's see. Russians control a much larger portion of Pokrovsk. For the first time, groups of Russian infantry seeped into Pokrovsk in July. Then the Russians identified weak points. So this is the reason why I trust this. This is a Ukrainian who's basically saying, "Listen, this shit is happening." Denying it doesn't. I don't think that she's saying, that, blatantly. But by saying that, she's saying without saying that, denying it is not going to help. Numbers are definitely different now, considering that the defense forces are gradually eliminating Russians every day, and the enemy, unfortunately, continues to penetrate the city in such a dynamic environment. Precise counts only play into the enemy's hands. They were told in response to a question about whether or not they know how many Russians are in the city. Joe, the problem is, and you and I identified this last year, kind of broadly, but we've been very specific since then. Ukraine just doesn't have the ability to fight a long-term fight. It's like every day that goes on, Ukrainians continue to waste people that they need, whereas Russians just kind of feed in. They've got way more, men of fighting age to draw upon than the Ukrainians do.
Facts.
Let's see. You enter the positions. Drones are constantly flying overhead. There are KIAs lying there that are not being picked up. So anyway, this is a long story. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but this is if you guys want to search for this, it's an interesting story. And worth a read, because let's be honest, objective journalism, which I'm not saying this is even objective, it's just way more objective than anything else that I've seen coming out of Ukraine. So speaking of objective things, so what you have here is a story in two parts. This is the Ukrainian tank unit propaganda of this Leopard 2 tank rolling through, blowing up this building, just hammering the Russian positions. First of all, Joe, I don't see any Russians in the video. This reminds me of the Chechens. Remember the Chechens that they were shooting with? You never saw anybody shooting at them or anything like that. Very much the kind of like making war for video.
See, that's what it looks like they're trying to do right there. It looks to me like they're trying to bring the building down so they can have a video of the Russians destroying an apartment building, right?
Right.
It's just silly.
Well, but this is a Ukrainian unit that put that out, right? So now this is the Russian video, right? They basically found the Ukrainian video and then they added like what happened next. So this is the Ukrainian video. They interview the tank crew and all this kind of stuff. And then what happens next is these are the views that the Russians were taking of this. They saw this tank doing stuff. They continued to look at it. They're like, all right, we need to get some drones in here. Now, the Leopard 2 tank is a fucking tough tank. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Abrams and the German tanks are probably the best tanks in the world. But I mean, there's just so many drones that one of these fucking things can hit. And so what you've got here is the blowout panel has blown in the turret. So there it is. You see how it's kind of settling down there. So they're basically just picking their shot there, and in the end, it's fully engulfed in fire. And that's like the other half of the story that the Ukrainian propaganda didn't show you. And so this is the reason why it's hard to believe any of the stories coming out of this this theater. Gentlemen, that's all I got.
Yeah. Me too. Even though you started an hour early, we still ended up fairly on time. So.
Yeah, actually, you guys, I think you guys came in like right at about the half hour point. So yeah, I think we got basically a regular show plus my little intro.
Yeah. So when are we starting on Friday? Just so everyone knows, let's just have a committee meeting, and we're starting at 7 daylight savings time or 6.
Well, here's the thing, guys. It is 1 a.m. here, and I can't. With the only reason I'm doing this today, or I can even I can do this, is because I took an hour and a half nap before the show.
So you're telling me we have to get up an hour earlier?
Yep.
I mean, what you guys tell me? Is that supportable? I mean, it's what we did last year.
It is what we did last year.
Yeah, it's what we do every year.
I mean, you guys. I mean, Joe. Let's be honest. You got last year. You got up an hour later, didn't you? Oh no. Last summer you were in Montana. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you. Have you heard from your dad in the last 12 hours?
I have not. Yeah. The whole. By the way, yeah. The whole Louisville. That thing is pretty wild. Have you guys?
Yeah. I meant to text your dad last night and I forgot to. So.
What? No, I'm missing all this.
Yeah, so there was a UPS MD-11 crash right on takeoff out of. Did you see the view where the engine is on fire? Hold on a second. Let me.
Yeah,
this
I
is,
did.
This
before they were even really getting altitude, the engine was already on fire.
Yeah, I think it wasn't even off the runway when it was on fire. I mean,
yeah, it's well. Here's the thing: it was going all the way to Honolulu. So it was absolutely full to the brim of gas. So it's going to go like that. I've seen a lot of people speculate, oh, my God, must have been a bomb on board. Nah, just a lot of fuel.
A lot of fuel and rough maintenance.
Yeah, check out this is the most spectacular footage I saw was this one here that I just shared. This is from a dash cam on a truck because it basically plowed into like a warehouse truck depot. That guy's like, whoa.
I'm out.
He's like, I'm out. He's like, deuces, I'm out.
Yeah, it looks like the fuel was probably trailing behind and all went up at once.
Yeah.
I heard that it was all night fire crews were going from building to building in this area trying to check and see if anybody had been trapped.
Yeah, so what you've got here in this area, there's a Louisville Lagun is a Louisville gun guy that I follow. He's actually got like here. I'm going to share his thread, Watcher, and you can just kind of go down it. It's got almost everything in it. There you go. You can share that one. So the first start is like the WLKY, the local news channel coverage and things like that. And then you've got the aerial footage or the aerial picture of like, go down a little further. Yeah, right there. You've got like just how it shows how broad that is. And it basically, it just missed the Louisville truck factory. The truck plant.
I see that.
The truck plant is a little off to the side. So if you go down to the next one, Watcher, you got the satellite imagery. And basically it landed all the, you got this is the runway here. The big long runway is where it was taking off at. And it got over this road, which I think this might be outer loop. I think maybe I can't remember what that is. Anyway, it goes over that road, and it basically then settles into the, all these, there's like a junkyards and a truck depot there, and then I think the next image the next image is a blow up of that area where it crashed into.
I was asking about the additional casualties on the plane. I don't think it was a patient and a medical team that was on there. I believe it was 4 additional pilots who were riding in the jump seats to get to Hawaii. So there wouldn't have been patients on board of the board.
I don't think there would be medical patients, but definitely
what I heard from an actual pilot is that there were 4 additional pilots on board just hitching a ride. So.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Particularly to places like Hawaii.
It,
Tragic.
it looks like it hit the USPS supply chain building. UPS supply chain building. There's a Red Bull distribution center in Louisville right there.
No, that's probably the Red Bull going up.
I know all the energy. It's not the fuel, it's the Red Bull.
Well, they should have had one before they took off. It gives them wings.
Oh.
Somebody asked about ground casualties. What I've heard is 11 wounded.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I heard 7 dead, 11 wounded, and I haven't heard about any dead on the
ground.
Number one engine found on the runway. So it looks like the engine actually exploded. Because that's the only way that you're going to have that kind of like it basically leaving the engine on the runway is if it exploded, and that would make sense.
If they were already past V1, which is a mathematical thing, they are committed to flight. So
yeah,
you can't just shut her down. You got to get in the air, come around, and re-land. They never got that opportunity.
Yeah, Watcher, I just shared you the video that shows it from the it looks like it's from a either another plane or a vehicle on the runway or taxiing. Yeah. So you could see the engine on fire.
Yeah, they were well past it at that point. They only had a couple. They only had maybe a couple hundred yards to be able to try and slow down in, and they didn't have time. Oh my goodness!
It'll be interesting to see what comes out of.
Well,
this.
I'll tell you what's going to come out of this is what comes out of this every time is that these guys have been skipping on maintenance. They have been deferring maintenance. They've been skipping maintenance. They've been patching up stuff that should have called for a full rehaul, and they've been doing it probably on the dime, I would say, of we'll just say techs that may or may not have the proper licensure and or documentation to work in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Just a guess. You pulling out my my psychic card here?
Yeah.
No, guys, it's not testing of new weapons. It literally sometimes an accident is literally just that, an accident.
Well,
these things happen.
Yeah, particularly when you can see it was on fire. The fire probably started the fire is external here. The fire probably started well back into here. Remember, they're going as fast. This is the most strain you put on the engines is during takeoff. That's the most power you're asking out of them for almost the entire trip. And it's the most oxygen that you're going to see to feed a fire like this because you're at ground level and you're going as... this is all just the worst possible scenario for an aircraft. But unfortunately, because it is the hardest you're pushing your engines for the entire flight, it's also the most likely for them to fail if they haven't been properly maintained.
Yeah.
There's a reason that property around the airport's cheaper, and it's not because of the sound.
Anyway, so yeah, that's fucking terrible if I'm honest with you. So being from Louisville, it sucks, when you have something like that happen. But prayers for the people involved and the families and whatnot. So
no, Gene, I know who was running the space laser yesterday, and he assures me it was not a space laser. So it's okay.
We got a direct.
Well, if it was Mossad Monday, we would make an additional claim there, but we're not getting paid to make additional claims.
I mean, it's not Mossad Monday.
Gentlemen, anything else for the folks? Joe, what do you got? Any thoughts going into the end of the week here?
I would watch for things to accelerate rather rapidly now that the communists, I'm not going to say socialists, I'm just going to call them communists, have gotten a win, and they now control the largest city in the United States and one of the largest cities in the world. they're going to be insufferable, and they're going to start taking action. And people are going to see, oh, we can just do things, and it's going to make it bad all the way around. So,
yeah, it's I think it's going to be like we're going to wait, and then all of a sudden, very quickly, a lot of things are going to happen. So.
Rick, I think we decided on 8 a.m. Eastern instead of 9, which means I have to get up at 5 instead of 6, which makes me very unhappy. But I love Scott, so I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh, Joe, getting beklimped over here. Cervix Hammer, I feel like I have to respond to, mostly nonsensical stuff that you say, but for kind of, so no, it wasn't, it was just the most uncomfortable thing about the entire incident on Monday was the fact that I now have to talk about it.
Well, you made a mistake of telling us, so.
Well, I mean, hey,
did you get any fun tweets? Because we did encourage people to
oh yeah, I got a few. I mean, it was. It's kind of like I'm like, listen, guy, I'm 50 years old. You think you're just lucky I don't take a selfie from the fucking toilet.
Yes, Josh Clark, you are right. Send White Monster to Camp Ponderosa. There may be an emergency on Friday.
Oh goodness.
No, I appreciate you guys working with me on this one. It'll all be worth it when I get back to the States finally, and we get to have an evening show. By the way, before we go, I don't think this is inappropriate for us to talk about in front of the. What time would you guys and chat? Feel free to jump in on this because Joe, we've talked mostly about the idea that when I get back to the States, it would become an evening show, right? That's what we've is that generally what we've decided, or?
That's generally what you decided, yes. The rest of us.
What do you think? Do you prefer to keep it a morning show?
My Tuesday through Thursday evenings are all tied up with Bible studies. So if you don't want me on Wednesday shows, that's fine.
Might have to be a weekend evening show. That might have to work.
Well, the only thing that I was thinking about is that if I'm unemployed when I get back to the U.S., then ultimately I can do it whenever. But like once I actually get employed again, like a morning show's right out.
I don't know, Scott. I'm
not
going
to get you remote work, Scott. Remote work.
Yeah, I'm not going to tip any hands, Scott. But if you're up for the ideas that you were given by certain wise individuals last time, I think you'll have a job before you even get back. So.
Well, it's all about is the juice worth the squeeze, right? You gotta get
true.
You gotta get the right amount of filthy lucre for.
Or should we follow through on the other idea we discussed? Consulting.
I'm there for it, man.
Let me ask this question while we still have the chat out there. Are you already planning on July 24th to 26th to be in Montana?
I have planned to be in the United States for that.
I didn't ask you that. I said in Montana.
I got it. That makes it really easy for me to be in Montana for that time period.
It's still not a commitment. Still no commitment. Okay.
Yes, the answer is yes. All right. So we had several. Let's see. Mornings are best, says Militant Brew. Okay, I appreciate that, brother. Let's see. Diatica says Scott has job qualifications. No, I don't have. I didn't say I have job qualifications. I'm just saying,
this is the whole problem, right?
and it hits the reason why I might be unemployed. Let's see. Combine Bible study with Wednesday's show. I don't think so.
We could compare the world of Jeremiah to the world today, and be like, oh wow, same place. Crazy.
Back to movie night, more sharp rifles. Yeah, we still have a lot of sharp rifles to go through. Let's see.
Or there's another great film we could actually do a movie night on. The movie is called It's called 5 Days of War, and it's about the Georgian invasion by Russia.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of amazing the similarities that you can draw between the two events, right?
Yeah.
And, and it's actually a really, really good film.
Rowan Court says OnlyFans is hiring Scott. Don't think if I
$20 is $20, dude.
yeah, that's true. Early retirement's looking better and better. I know, right?
Scott
yes,
would be good to be retired, but Mrs. Scott, on the other hand,
yeah. Come to the G Camp for Scott's tactical PowerPoint class. I've thought about different classes that I could teach. Some of them are classes that you would do in the woods because, believe it or not, Joe gives me a rash to the ship for being a PAO, but I was a successful infantry officer for 8 years. So
I have
do
always said that from day one.
I know. But that being said, I think there are some interesting lessons that I could derive both from my planning and public affairs backgrounds that would be interesting to people of a community security background. I just won't do it then, Joe. Now, I'll be honest with you, my favorite idea that we've talked about thus far is the consulting idea. I think there's a lot of upside in that.
I do have a bit of breaking news if you guys want to get into it right before we leave.
Okay.
I've seen this from multiple different sources, so they're rumors, but also like everybody's got the same ones. Inside the room per multiple GOP senators, after reporters were kicked out, Trump said the election results showed that the shutdown had been worse for us than for the Democrats. Trump said the GOP will become a dead party if they don't nuke the filibuster, which we already know he said in public.
Right.
Trump got into it with Lindsey Graham after Graham tried to make the point that they can still use reconciliation to patch legislation with a simple majority. Trump snapped at Ladybug that you and I both know that there's so much you can't do with reconciliation.
One, this is rumor at this point.
Yeah.
And two, nuking the filibuster gets you gun control legislation the next time there's a Democratic majority. So.
The exact point that I wanted to bring up. Yes, in the face of the enemy doing well, let's nuke the only thing that will protect us if they do well.
But I guess the only thing that I don't know that this is true, so this is more of a devil's advocacy position, and I want your guys' opinion on what's to stop them from just doing the same thing to get what they want when they get control.
That has been a point a lot of people have made, is that they're probably going to.
No, because right now it's a Republican majority is what stops them.
Well, no. I know. I'm saying when they get control, right? And so,
but why would we give them the gun in which to load the ammunition?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. No, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that's the counter argument that I've heard. The other thing is we've seen what they did on, they wanted to get judges through with Obama, so they got rid of the 60 vote rule for. So now judges, or is it judges that can be approved with a 50 vote or 51 vote majority?
Anyone that's appointed by the president.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So appointees, that was something that was a thing back in the day. But then again, it wasn't until the last 20 years that you had any kind of contention on appointments.
Right. Before that, it was a general assumption that the president wanted to do well and would pick good people. Now it's just, no, we hate the other side, so we refuse to do anything for them, even if the person is highly qualified. And
by the way, you didn't even have that kind of pushback by the Republican houses normally, the Republican senators. Gene wins today. Lindsey Graham should be the ambassador to Djibouti. I thought he already was. All right. Hey, my last thing for the show today is good news. Jarek Isaacman has been re-nominated for the NASA administration. I think that's very cool. He is the man who basically started his own private Air Force. I was at Draken, I think, is his company. He still owns his own personal MiG-29. That's pretty fucking badass. And this guy is also the first private individual to do a spacewalk. So this guy, I think, is the right kind of guy for NASA. I only have one problem with him, and it's a problem I have with the military at large right now.
He's
Yeah.
up there talking about this in a flight suit.
It's Air Force people.
Military
Fucking-
regulations require that flight suits are only worn when engaged in, wait for it, flight operations.
Yeah.
And it's just
It-
it's
it-
silly. The over casualization of the U.S. military irritates me. Have some
Yeah,
fun.
in fairness, this guy has never been in the military one day in his fucking life.
My
That
favorite
being
thing-
said, Joe, you're absolutely right. We should not normalize spacesuits, or not spacesuits, but flight suits.
Well, here's the thing. You know what we used to call the ones that were worn by anybody who is not a pilot? Coverall, because that's what they're called.
Because that's what they're called. That's what they are.
Indeed. All right, gentlemen. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys in the chat. Look at the number there, Joe. We got your poetry like drew them in today. We got the over 1,200 1,276 impressions on that's not total viewers, but individual views on X. So very cool. I attribute that entirely to you, because when I post it to X, nobody ever. I don't get that many views.
I mean, in my defense, I'm far more interesting than you.
This is true. I don't contend that at all, my brother.
That's not true.
All right, gentlemen, that's all I got for today. Thank you very much for being here, Joe and Watcher. Just think of the kerfuffle with daylight savings time was just bonus content if you happen to get up early enough to catch it. Chat, you guys were awesome. Appreciate you as always. Best chat on the internet. If you haven't done it already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Let people know that you're getting some good stuff over here at the Council on Future Conflicts. For Watcher
Scott,
and Joe,
Scott,
we'll be back.
Before we go, I do have something to ask of the audience.
Yes.
If you have been watching the show this entire time and you haven't hit the like button,
I know. You must hate us.
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay?
Yeah, hitting the like button stops the spread of the gay. So
That's exactly right. All right, guys. That's all we got for today. We'll be back on Friday. Thank you very much. And as always, stay safe.